It's showtime.
Hi,
Showtime.
everybody.
Oh, look, there's an end broadcast button. Can I press it?
Paul and
No,
Tanya
no.
and Ludger.
Don't do any
and
swiping on your
Jordan.
mouse.
Damn.
Yes, no swiping.
Okay.
Don't be doing no swiping.
Hello, Tanya. Hi, Paul.
Paul.
Oh, we got
and
Ludger
Tanya,
here.
Jordan Decker.
Jordan. Oh, we
and,
suddenly had a rush of
Ludger,
people
Ludger.
joining.
Great.
What about well, where's Mike?
Where's Mike Kuipers? Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Kuipers is not here.
The mayor of APG.
Yeah. What are you looking at?
I feel like I've got a little devil sitting on my shoulder.
You do. He's looking
watching,
over your
just
shoulder.
watching every single thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Can't get away with it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jeff, do you know those ads for the insurance company, The General? You know the General? There's
yeah.
The little guy has a big white mustache. I was looking at it. I thought, oh, that's Jeff's mustache.
Yeah.
That does look very like it. Yeah.
I haul boxes. Yay.
He's Army, though, isn't
I
he?
wasn't here for a couple weeks, I don't think.
I hear there's a pod about to be cast. Oh, thank you. Thank you for
Do you want me to
Throw
kick him
that
out, Jeff?
pod.
Shall I kick him out?
Yeah, he's out of here. I guess I should button this button. I don't want to look like a...
So it's just
It's going to be
the two captains today.
going to be warm and very soporific here in England because I've got the sun streaming in through this big window I have. And
what's the weather going to be like in 2 weeks?
Beautiful.
I don't know. I could check the 2-week forecast and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be flying over 2 weeks today, I think, Jeff. Isn't that
I think
the plan?
I'll be planning on leaving on Saturday.
Is that the plan of action?
Yeah.
That's the plan. Getting in on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. Go through those neat E-gates at Heathrow where you don't have to talk to anybody?
Yeah.
If they're working.
If they're working, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they were working that time
weather.
that Liz and I went through.
Yeah, they were great.
Worked a charm.
Yeah, I loved it. We don't like talking to people if we don't have to.
That's exactly right.
Well, I can tell you what it'll be like a week away. I can't tell you what it'll be like 2 weeks away unless I perhaps tap the BBC. Let's see what they've got.
I'd like to tap the BBC. I don't even know what that means. I'm going to take a little slice of cheese just to have something to eat so my stomach doesn't growl. How are the levels, everybody?
Paul Verhagen, you should. Oh, according to my weather thing that goes out 2 weeks, in London next on July 1st, high of 28 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's too hot.
And low of 20 with showers. But that's 2 weeks out, so, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I can only get up to Friday the 30th. Should be wet on Friday. But generally speaking, the next week or so is, days of lots of sun, the occasional cloudy a day. But it's all in the high 20s or mid to high 20s.
Good one, I hope.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, we're talking to nobodies.
Talking to nobody.
Yeah. For 3 hours.
Nobody.
Now, Jeff, you got to be
Paul.
done. You got to hard out at 3:00 or before that.
Yeah.
Let's get going then.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit before.
Okay, so let's get moving.
Okay.
Crack that whip.
Okay. Let me get my... So it's just the three of us, right?
Yes, sir.
You want to stay on the...
No,
thing,
sir.
Or do you want to do your... Okay.
Oh, go on.
Nah. Nobody wants to.
Go on, Liz.
Nah,
Go on.
Go on.
Mom. Mama.
Yeah, right. Shut
Not
up.
you, but just a kid.
Yeah.
Nick is continuously.
I know.
Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come.
Yeah,
Okay.
come on.
Come on,
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Mom. Look at me.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready? Is your recorder on? Recorder's on?
Oh,
That's a good point.
That is a Very good point, Liz. Thank you. Good catch.
My clock is 5 minutes slow, so it's really 12:05, even though it's bonging for 12.
12:05.
I
Okay.
don't think we need my old one. I'll move that to trash. Right.
Oh, Paul says the levels are good. Thank you, Paul
Yep,
Verhagen.
I saw that and thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I think. Let me just do something here. Oh!
Oh,
Oh,
God.
damn.
Got me right in the heart.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was
That's
getting a
good.
signal on that.
That was good. That was very good.
All right. Well, we Americans here, right?
You aim to please.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay, let's go.
Yes, ma'am.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy episode 574.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show is recorded on the 17th of June, 2023.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy. Put your light and he's flying by. With the Airline Pilot Guy.
In today's episode, rescuers find 4 children who survived a plane crash in the Amazon jungle 40 days earlier. A Southwest worker is charged with issuing almost $2 million in phony travel vouchers. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale are risk takers. So get all settled in. Tray tables and seat backs in the upright and lock positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 574 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the number 1 all-news station in the nation. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in
New York City.
Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. Captain Jeff, that's me. I'm a pilot at a major legacy airline based in the United States of America, and joining us from his studio,
1000.
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
professional photographer, former RAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340 captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi there, Jeff. It's just the old fellas. And, beautiful. Who's that beautiful young lady down there?
Well,
Where?
I think we're going to have to introduce her. And also her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer, Liz Piper.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday
Happy
and
Saturday.
happy 17th of June.
Have a good show, you old codgers.
Thanks.
Thanks, Liz.
All right. Well, that wasn't very
Well, that
nice at
told
all.
us. Yeah.
Okay. I can hear you, Liz. All right. We're going to. Oh, hi, Mike Kuipers. I'm sorry you have a sore back, but I'm glad you're here. And hello, Denise, as well. Glad you guys could join us. We were worried. We didn't see you there. All right. Without further ado, I think we need to talk about some aviation news. Here we go.
Stand by for news.
Okie dokie. Let's start off with this first item here. Now, I decided to lead off the news segment with this because I'm getting a lot of communications coming in asking me about this. Yeah, a lot of questions. Well, people, with me, they have a lot of questions just to begin with. But in this case, it has something to do. Yeah, I am very questionable. The fact that this directly or could possibly directly apply to me but it will not. So let's see here. The headline is House Committee, a House U.S. Congress, House Committee, House of Representatives, votes to raise pilot retirement age amid pilot shortage. The key points are lawmakers on the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure narrowly voted in favor of a measure to raise the mandatory retirement age for pilots from 65 to 67. And that was like a 32-31 vote. I mean, just one vote pushed it over. And again, that was just a committee. That wasn't the House of Representatives. They still have to vote on it. The vote comes as the aviation industry grapples with a shortage of pilots. The last time that Congress raised the pilot retirement age was in 2007, when it was raised from 60 to 65. And let me see your slide there, Liz. Oh, nice. That's a picture of me just yesterday, I believe, when I was putting on
when
my...
you'd just been to the barbers.
Yes, and I was putting on my flying cap, about to fly a trip. That's kind of sometimes the way I feel. I am happy, Liz. That's the important thing. Okay, so the committee voted 63 to nothing on the proposed FAA reauthorization bill on Wednesday. And which reauthorization bill are we talking about? The 2018 reauthorization bill. Well, last time I checked, this is the year 2023 right now. Anyway, it's not clear whether the new retirement age provision will be in the final version of the bill or even make it to a vote in either chamber. And the Airline Pilots Association, ALPA, the country's biggest pilot labor union, which represents aviators at major carriers such as Delta, United, and Acme, has opposed the measure. And so let me tell you this. I have been hearing about this idea, and this is as far as it's gotten, going from 65 to 67. But again, it's just a committee. There's a lot of opposition to raising the age to 67, and if it makes it past the House, and then of course it goes to the Senate has to pass it as well. I'm just not thinking it's going to happen. Even if it does, even if after everything they finally decide, yes, we're going to bump up the age to 67, I think it's going to take some time for it to actually become law and be effective. And now, somebody just told me the other day that they thought they had read something that said that it might be retroactively effective, which means that those who retired, like myself this year, and when let's say they enact the law halfway through the next year, I could go back and get reinstated and go through training and everything else. I guess, let's see, Colonel Jeff, I think he's getting awfully close to 67
90?
now. Yeah, I think because wasn't it 2020 when he retired?
He's got to be at least 88, if not 90 now.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't he?
well, put that picture back up there. This is actually a picture of Colonel Jeff right there.
Yeah, I say, yeah, well, he's still a reserve major, isn't he?
Oh, that's true. Well, let's see, what did he...
Flying the bald eagles.
Well, no, wait a minute. That's a lieutenant colonel. That's the exact rank that I think isn't that silver that we're seeing on the...
I don't know. I thought they were major pips. Are they?
Well, major is the same, but it's gold color.
Oh, okay. Well, in that
So
case,
the silver is lieutenant colonel. So
All
yeah,
right.
that's him right there. That's him.
yep.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, I mean, I would imagine he could drive by, pick up his hat, or I could send it to him, possibly. But I don't think that would stop him. Anyway, so again, I want to just be clear to everyone. If they pass the law, even before I retire, I am not going to stay until 67, unless there's something weird that happens that says, well, you're not going to be able to get your retirement or whatever until you stay until 67, which I don't think is going to happen. So yeah, I have plans. I have plans in my motorhome, and to start with my
Definitely.
new nomadic lifestyle.
Definitely.
So
I mean, your contract currently ends at 65. They'll have to rewrite your contract if they want you to work for an extra couple of years, and that has to be voluntary, doesn't it?
I would think so. Oh, the other thing is the ICAO age is still 65. So that means that if the old dudes like me, and most of whom are flying the wide bodies and the international stuff, they won't be able to fly international anymore.
No, that's
So,
very true. They'd have to
uh,
move to domestic
yes,
and kick
and
all
that's
you
going to
youngsters out.
that's going to cause all kinds of problems. Yeah, Super Fred driver. One has to wonder the motivation for the 67 change. If the pilots don't overwhelmingly want it, why are we pushing this? Sounds like a ploy to solve the pilot crisis by keeping pilots longer. That's part of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that is the 99% of the justification.
And I think that the people that are positively supporting the age increase are probably the majority of people in my age who aren't ready to stop flying. They want to keep doing this, airline flying. And there are, a lot of people that feel that way. I don't. I mean, I love this job. Don't get me wrong. I love flying jets for a living. But I've done it for so long now. I mean, it's kind of out of my system. I'm ready to kind of move on and do something else. Yeah, I want to fly my RV down the highway at 90
Yeah,
miles an hour.
there is a certain element of, once you've been there and done it for a couple of decades, not much new is going to happen. You might get a new airplane come along or a new route, which is interesting for a little while. But you kind of eventually, you just, it's like any job. Eventually it becomes repetitive. And if there's nothing new on the horizon, then what's the point? You've probably already, for most of these guys, you've probably already got a really nice pension pot and a lot of savings put away. So there's probably not a lot of monetary need to work on those 2 extra years. There may be a few who are paying, alimony left, right, and center, so they feel obliged to keep doing that to give them something to buy their next speedboat with or whatever. But I can't see any major requirement. It's got to be voluntary. I mean, I can understand why it's happening. It's in a lot of countries, in particular around Europe, age discrimination has got a lot of backup in law, and it has to be a very special case to force people to retire at any age. You can, generally speaking, you're obliged to let them work and long as they want. Of course, for us, it's very much a case of health. And from that point of view, certainly when they advance the age from 60 to 65 over here, they did it with a lot of medical data on the occurrences of incapacitations or major health problems amongst air crew. And they said, well, the graph doesn't really take a big upturn until you're approaching 70. So what they said was back then, we're going to give ourselves a 5-year buffer so that we're 5 years prior to that major uptick. And so we can justify moving it from 60 to 65. That still gives you 5 years before you start getting major health problems. So I think that is fair. As health technology improves, that is bound to move to the right a little bit, because we know that longevity is on the increase. So people are going to be around a lot longer. They may not want to give up work so soon. And particularly for those who might have had a late career change. I can understand that if you've moved to the airline industry in your 40s, as we seen a lot of our listeners do, asking for advice about, I've been a dentist all these years, I've saved up this money, I've got a private pilot certificate, and I'm really interested now in perhaps seeing if I can manage to become a full-blown commercial pilot, ATPL. They might want to go, well, I've started a new career. I want to make that, a reasonable length of time now because I'm really enjoying it. That's the sort of person that I can see wanting to have an extra couple of years. But really and honestly, an extra 2 years, what's that? It's not a great deal.
I agree with you. Most of us at our age right now have our financial houses in order for the upcoming retirement. A very, very tiny number or percentage, as you mentioned, Nick, might have multiple marriages and a lot of alimony and a lot of whatever. I mean, there could be a lot of different circumstances in
Yeah.
their lives where they just have to keep working because they got to keep that money coming in as long as they can. But I think a big part of it, and I don't think it's as much of a factor now as it used to be in maybe the previous generation and earlier, where people who did our job as airline pilots, I mean, that was it. That was their entire life. That was their existence. And then when they stopped flying for the airlines, it's like, well, I have nothing to do. They didn't have a big podcast to do every week and plane
Very
tales
true.
and
Very true.
lawn bowling and like speaking for the Royal Aeronautical Society and singing in
Yeah,
my choir.
photography and absolutely everything that you want to do in your retirement.
Right. And I think that it's just my generation and maybe newer or younger that now, being an airline pilot is just part of who we are. It doesn't make everything that we are. I haul boxes in our live audience says, sorry, I forgot. What's the frequency again? Words twice, please. I didn't put my hearing aid at what's the pressure in my chest? Yeah. The medical aspect of it, of course, is an issue for sure. And as Nick, very eloquently described to us, the thinking of bumping it from 60 to 65, that still gave a quite large margin for most of us as far as our medical situation, our health situation. So
Of course,
I don't know.
the major pushback I feel might be coming from those first officers who are looking for captain's opportunities, particularly in airlines that are reasonably static, and you're waiting to fill dead men's shoes, as it were. And they have already suffered the move from 60 to 65. That put them back, and now many of them are going, "Oh, another 2 years? Are you kidding?"
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the situation as I see it. And if it actually passes, which I don't think honestly that it will, but if it does, it's going to be probably after I'm already retired. And as I said, I'm not coming back, or I'm not going to stay another 2 years because that was the other thing you mentioned, alimony and divorces and stuff. And if I keep flying, that means I have to keep paying alimony as well, because I don't stop until I have started to receive retirement benefits. So that's another strong reason for me just to say that's it for December of this year. And
Yeah.
as far as when I'm going to actually fly my last trip, my last flight, I honestly really have no idea, because the whole thing is fluid. And as I've mentioned before, what I want to do is just kind of leave and have nobody notice that I'm gone until maybe weeks or months later and go, hey, what happened to that Captain Jeff guy? I want to have a big party somewhere sometime in 2024.
We're definitely going to have a big party somewhere.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Yes, I can do that. Okay, we're taking a little pause here in our video because I forgot to update the website for Micah, because I think he's the only one that uses it.
I think we just need to email Micah a personal invitation.
I don't think it works. I don't think if we emailed him the link, that for some reason it doesn't work. I don't know why it only works on the website. It doesn't make sense at all to me.
Actually, we should just email him a new computer.
Micah, why are you the only one that this affects? Because he's important, that's why. I should just rename the page Micah's YouTube page. Okay. Pages, all pages. And did you just send me the link, Liz? Thanks. Thought I saw just when I think I've gotten all this taken care of, I realize I'm wrong. Oh, that's okay. Not your fault. It's my fault. It's my job. Okay. You probably heard me. Now, is it the one that actually shows the video that he clicks on, or is it the link that's above it? Okay.
Talk about a personal service.
We're all about community here.
We are
One-on-one.
indeed.
That's what we do.
We are
We want to make
indeed.
everybody happy. Okay, let me see if this works. I didn't update the... Oh, thank you. Liz is keeping track of our time.
Well, can't you just pause it? Pause the time for a bit?
Pause the time.
Because we don't want you to run out.
Yeah, I don't want it to run out for any of us.
Well, we're talking about retirement and all that kind of stuff.
I
You know,
know.
yes,
Retirement.
you're
We're
on
not talking
downhill
about my
slope once you start
untimely
the
death.
yeah.
Okay, let me look at the page. And looks like it is all updated. So, okay. And there we go. We're back in StreamYard. Yeah, you're welcome, Liz. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. Well, I was just going to make one final point,
Yes.
and certainly the move from 60 to 65, allowing people to get that extra 5 years, was really looking to delay the retirement bump that everyone was expecting, because a lot of the airlines recruited people about the same age, and they were all coming up to retirement at about the same time. And by adding that extra 5 years, they pushed that retirement hump to the right. Of course, there are other factors considering this, but all they're really doing is delaying it another 2 years. So I don't know what they're expecting to change in 2 years. Perhaps there'll be a sudden interest in pilot training and pilot recruitment that will fix everything. But you're just kicking the can down the road a little further. That's all you're doing.
I don't really think I think it's creating more problems than solving them, honestly.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I mean, yeah.
I was in that group of people when it went from 60 to 65 that basically, people that were maybe 5 to 10 years older than me, they retired early, or they, whatever, so it extended like that, as you just mentioned, Nick, that 5-year period just increased the number of people that were all about the same age, this blob of people at the time in their 50 to 55 year range. And then like everything is just super stagnant at the top end of the seniority scale. And as everybody knows, seniority is huge, especially here in the US carriers. Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to characterize our coverage of that news item, Liz, as pretty crappy. Number 2. Is that what you're? Oh,
yeah. Don't candy coat it, Liz.
She keeps saying number 2, and I'm thinking, like number 1 is P and number 2 is.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll try some number 2 then.
Okay, let's do number 2. On June 6th, or 6 June. By the way, this is from Flight Radar 24. On 6 June, Air India Flight 173 from New Delhi to San Francisco experienced a problem with one of its engines and diverted to Magadan, Russia? Magadan? I don't know. Do you know how to pronounce that?
I would say Magadan, but I'm no expert.
Okay. The aircraft landed safely in Magadan at 8:36 UTC, about 90 minutes after diverting off its course to San Francisco. The flight was operated by Boeing 777-200 LR, registration Victor Tango Alpha Lima Hotel. The aircraft is powered by 2 General Electric 90-115B engines. Magadan's Sokol Airport is located 50 kilometers, 31 miles north of Magadan proper in Sokol, which has a population of approximately 5,000. Due to the lack of hotels in Sokol, the 216 passengers were sheltered at a local school awaiting a second aircraft. A second Air India 777-200LR was dispatched from Mumbai. The flight departed Mumbai, arrived, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. A rescue aircraft will carry passengers onward from Magadan to San Francisco. The airline sent all the supplies and catering needed for the flight to Magadan to San Francisco aboard the ferry flight. The follow-on flight to San Francisco departed the 7th of June, so the next day, approximately 38 hours after the original flight diverted. The aircraft arrived in San Francisco at 7:07 UTC on 8 June, 56 hours after the original Air India 173 departed New Delhi. The average flight time between New Delhi and San Francisco was approximately 15 hours. So yeah, it took them a little bit longer than it normally does. Of course, Air India's problems are just beginning. Of course, taking care of the passengers, that's primary. But now they have this airplane, a broken airplane. Says technical issues are a common occurrence, and diversions happen every day for a variety of reasons. However, diverting an aircraft to a location where sourcing replacement parts would violate multiple forms of sanctions complicates matters immensely. Okay, you'll remember this is Russia, where there are a lot of sanctions. For instance, when a Norwegian 737-8 MAX diverted to Shiraz, Iran in December of 2018, the aircraft sat on the ground for 70 days. Much of that time was spent arranging an export license for a CFM LEAP 1B engine for the stricken aircraft. If the problem was the General Electric GE90 115B engine on Air India's 777 requires replacing the entire engine, the situation becomes even more complicated. The GE90 is the largest in-service aircraft engine in the world with a fan diameter of 3.3 meters, which is 128 inches. So that's what, 10 feet, 8 inches? Transporting a GE90 requires an equally large aircraft, most often the Antonov AN-124. Problem is, there is only a few operators of the Antonov AN-124. Antonov Airlines operates a handful, but as a Ukrainian airline, they certainly won't be flying to Russia. Maximus Air Cargo and their single AN-124 also fall into that category. Russia cargo carrier Volga Dnieper has a large fleet of AN-124s, though only one has flown since March, probably because of the sanctions, I would imagine. So, depending on where a replacement engine can be found, a Volga Dnieper aircraft might not be able to pick it up due to restrictions on Russia aircraft operating in certain countries. GE90 engines can be transported in other aircraft, such as a Boeing 747, if they are partially disassembled, but this introduces even further complications. Sourcing an aircraft able to carry the engine and operate to Russia remains a challenge, and disassembling the engine for transport introduces the need to reassemble the engine in the field. On the receiving end, Sokol Airport does not regularly host 777 heavy maintenance. Replacing a GE90 in non-standard conditions is a monumental undertaking requiring specialized tooling alongside the engine itself. When a Swiss 777 diverted to Iqaluit, thank you, in 2017, it took Iqaluit. That's for the first time that I mispronounced it. Without any export restrictions. Wait, I don't have any. I'm not drinking because I'm between singing at masses, so I'm just going to drink.
I sing better when I've had a few.
That's what you think.
Certainly, my volume goes up.
I'm not sure that Jane, the choir director, would really appreciate becoming sloshed. Although that might be the way that I can excuse myself from future.
Whenever you want to retire, that's the way to go.
Okay, so when this Swiss 777 diverted to
Iqaluit.
In 2017, it took a week without any export restrictions to worry about to perform the engine change. Unfortunately for Air India, if it's stricken, 777 does need a new engine. It doesn't seem like it will be a speedy recovery. Now, is this next article, Liz, kind of updating this whole thing? More information about this whole thing? Okay. So I don't know if we have an update on this or not. Let's see. This happened 10, 11 days ago. And I would imagine that by now, I would think that they probably got the new engine installed and got the thing home, but I don't know. We'll see if we can find an update. But there you go. Yeah, talking about a logistic nightmare.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's pretty tough. Some of the airports that we could, in theory, have diverted to in Russia were pretty remote, and this sounds like one of them, since they didn't even have a hotel to to put the passengers into, just a probably a gymnasium or something. So you can get your aircraft safely on a piece of concrete, but recovering it out of there, particularly if it's got a major engineering issue, it's it's often just an absolute nightmare. It's the old story, you think you've handled an emergency really well, you've got it on the ground, and you shut down and thinking, wow, that was a great job I've just done. And without realizing that your troubles have only just begun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not so fast there, mister. Nice job there
Exactly
getting it safely on
right.
the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you got some splaining to do probably,
Yep.
and some coordination and leadership and all kinds of hard work ahead.
Yeah, and of course, all those poor engineers that have got to try and work out what on earth they're going to need to make this major engine change. All the kit, the ramps, all the cranes, everything, to making sure they don't leave something behind when they set off, having got this all on board some rescue aircraft. I just feel for them. It must be a nightmare.
Well, you know what? It turns out, I read somewhere, it wasn't published because it's kind of embarrassing. The light that they thought was the engine was actually a fastened seatbelt light, and they really didn't need to divert at all.
What a shame.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue.
I think you better
with,
put up the 50% sign, Liz.
this is from abcnews.go.com.
Oh, they're trustworthy, aren't they?
Oh yeah. Well, none of them are actually.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
4 indigenous children lost in jungle for 40 days after plane crash are found alive in Colombia. 4 indigenous children were who disappeared 40 days ago after surviving a small plane crash in the Amazon jungle were found alive Friday, Colombian authorities announced, ending an intense search that gripped the nation. The children were alone when searchers found them and are now receiving medical attention. President Gustavo Petro told reporters upon his return to Bogota from Cuba, where he signed a ceasefire agreement with representatives of the National Liberation Army rebel group. The president said the youngsters are an example of survival and predicted their saga will remain in history. No details were immediately released on how the youngsters managed to survive on their own for so many days. The crash happened in the early hours of May 1st, when the Cessna single-engine propeller plane with 6 passengers and a pilot declared an emergency due to an engine failure. The small aircraft fell off radar a short time later, and a frantic search for survivors began. 2 weeks after the crash, on May 16, a search team found the plane in a thick patch of the rainforest and recovered the bodies of the 3 adults on board, but the small children were nowhere to be found. Sensing that they could be alive, Colombia's army stepped up the hunt for the children and flew 150 soldiers with dogs into the area to track the group of 4 siblings, ages 13, 9, 4, and 11 months. Dozens of volunteers from indigenous tribes also helped search. On Friday, the military tweeted pictures showing a group of soldiers and volunteers posing with the children, who were wrapped in thermal blankets. One of the soldiers held a bottle to the smallest child's lips. The Air Force later shared a video on Twitter showing soldiers using a line to load the aircraft onto a helicopter that then flew off into the dark. The tweet said that the aircraft was headed to the town of San Jose del Guaviare, but gave no further details. The union of our efforts made this
Well
possible.
done, Jeff.
Thank you. Colombia's military command wrote on its Twitter account. During the search in an area where visibility is greatly limited by mist and thick foliage, the soldiers on helicopters dropped boxes of food into the jungle, hoping that it would sustain.
Well, they
the
just
children.
drop random boxes.
Yeah, but some of it was
Well-
candy, so it was okay.
Okay, I'm glad none of them hit the kids on the head.
Yeah, really. Wow. Okay. Well, we see the 4 children. Only 2 are alive. They also used megaphones that blasted a message recorded by the siblings' grandmother, telling them to stay in one place.
Marvelous.
Obviously, they didn't
Excellent.
stay in one place. They left the site of the crash. Anyway, the group of 4 children had been traveling with their mother from the Amazonian village of Araraquara to San Jose del Guaviare, a small city on the edge of the Amazon rainforest. Yeah, good thing I'm not drinking, for sure. Thank you, Liz. They are members of the Huitoto people, and officials said the oldest children in the group had some knowledge of how to survive in the rainforest. And so it goes on to talk about how, what they did. They knew what to eat and what not to eat. And yeah, they managed to stay alive for a long time.
40 days. I mean, I'm lucky. It just shows how difficult it must be to search that kind of terrain, because they say they were searching within a 4.5 kilometer, about a 3-mile radius from the site. And it took them 40 days to comb that area until they found them. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah, the thick foliage and all that. And then not to mention the fact that when you think of like, what is the worst jungle you could possibly think of to kind of be stuck in, with snakes and insects and all kinds of just, ugh,
Well, that's true. I
things.
mean, Tarzan managed all right, but
Well, that's
I
true.
mean,
he always looked to.
he was a bit more
good
grown
shape.
up, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh.
But a remarkable story of survival.
Yeah. Liz was just saying that the story is that the mother survived the crash for about 4 days or so before she succumbed to her injuries.
Oh, Lord. I mean, the poor
Yeah.
kids must be traumatized.
Also, I just saw this story yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, and they're claiming this dog is a hero. Wilson, the hero rescue dog of the Amazon jungle, is missing. Commandos, we mentioned in the news story that 150 soldiers with dogs went in, and one of the dogs, named Wilson, was amongst the group of people searching. And no, it did not. He did not look like a volleyball. That's a different movie.
Yes.
And
Just trying to think of a suitable joke to make, but Liz
know.
beat me.
she did. So days after participating in the rescue of 4 children in the Amazonian jungle, Colombian commandos have been searching for a beloved comrade, a furry 4-legged one. About 100 commandos brave heat, heavy downpours, bug bites, and general misery to find Wilson, a Belgian shepherd who was participating in the search for the children when he darted into the wilderness and away from his handler. We're in the second phase of the operation, which is to search, find, and rescue Wilson, according to Armed Forces General Pedro Sanchez, who oversaw Operation Hope, the search that led to the rescue of the children. Despite being a dog, for us, Wilson is a commando who is part of our team, and a commando never leaves another behind. And so the story continues to say that they're searching for him. And I think they did find evidence that he had been united with the children. He found the children. Let me see if I can find that part of the article. I didn't highlight it because it's in a different format. Darn it.
Well, they say he found one of the kids' bottles.
Okay.
But yeah, he found proof of life during the search, a baby bottle. But I don't know if he actually discovered the kids or not.
One of the kids did say that that the dog had been with them about
Oh,
3
right.
days.
Okay. Wow.
and then left. But it was interesting. Captain Cesar Arias, who commanded the Aras 3 unit in which Wilson and his handler were serving, so the team had set up camp near the wreckage of the Cessna in an inhospitable swath of Caqueta province when the dog fled. Here's a quote: "The dog behaved strangely because he was always with his guide, who was Christian Lara, a soldier who is the dog's handler. He left and he didn't come back." So they're thinking that was just very strange behavior that the dog exhibited, and apparently the dog found the kids and stayed with them for a bit and then darted away again. So they're still looking for the dog.
Cool. Okay. Well, I hope they find him.
Yeah, me too. Deanna says, "I'm just imagining people trekking through the forest yelling, 'Wilson!'"
Well,
You know,
that's
I
the
wish I
guy
thought
they
of
need
that.
to recruit. They need to have
I know.
a megaphone recording now of Tom Hanks shouting
would-
Wilson.
I should have that. I'm going to put that in post of Tom Hanks
Excellent.
yelling, "Wilson!" Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Deanna. Okay. That is that. Oh, I do? Okay. Darn it. Just when I think I'm on top of it. Which one am I looking for? Okay. I'll load that up. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. All right. And we're back here to Evernote. And we're going to go to the next item, which is a video from our good friends at VAS Aviation. Let's have a listen.
Good afternoon, X-Ray Alpha Mike November, parking at Meridian. With information, whiskey, red to copy, the Kilo Papa Hotel Lima.
X-Ray Alpha Mike November to the bird clearance. Can you just have more verify one quick thing? What's your equipment suffix for your aircraft?
Okay, Learjet 35, X-Ray Alpha Mike November.
X-Ray Alpha Mike November, Roger. I got you guys as the LJ35 Slant Alpha. Is that your correct equipment suffix?
Yes, sir, we are Alpha. We are Alpha.
All right, X-Ray Alpha Mike November. Are you unable to go from VOR to VOR? Is that what the Alpha's made up of?
Yes, we can do that. VOR or our nav. We can do that both.
Alpha doesn't.
X-Ray Alpha Mike November, cleared to Philadelphia Airport via Rudy 6 departure, radar vector Solberg, Sierra Bravo Juliet. Climb via the SID. Expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure.
Sir, that Mike November, clear to Kilo Papa Hotel Lima with the Rudy 6 departure. Expect radar vector to Sierra Bravo Juliet. Climb and then 8,000, 10 minutes after.
X-Ray Alpha Mike November, just verify, climb via the SID and expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure, and there's a lot of static coming in with your reback.
Climb via the SID and 8,000, 10 minutes after departure.
Learjet Mike November, just verify, expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure, please expect that.
Expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure,
Learjet Mike November, either there's a lot of static or wind in the background, please use caution. Contact ground, point out for taxi, information whiskey current.
Yes, we do have the whiskey and we'll climb via the SID. Expect 8,000, 10 minutes after departure. The rest is okay, Mike November.
Mike November, read back correct. Contact ground, point out for taxi.
Roger, thank you, and good day.
Okay, they're showing the SID, the Rudy 6 departure, RNAV departure. And VAS Aviation, Real Aviation Communications. They usually put that at the beginning. Okay, here we go.
X-Ray Mike November, contact departure 119.2.
119.2, Mike November, thank you.
Oh, I can hear him.
Departure good afternoon, X-Ray Alpha Mike November, reaching 2,000.
X-Ray Alpha Mike November, I do. X-Ray Alpha Mike November, ready to contact 3 west at Teterboro, say altitude.
2,000, Mike November.
Okay, you didn't fly the SID, sir, and you just climbed into a Newark arrival that's descending at 2,300 feet off your left, mile and a half.
Oops. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that.
Are you continuing your climb, sir?
Sir, we are in 2,000 feet.
Okay, I show you leaving 2,300. I haven't assigned you any altitudes.
He's not on the track either.
No, nowhere near it.
3 Alpha Mike November, turn right 290, climb to maintain 4,000.
4,000, Mike November.
Get your pen ready. You're going to have to call for a pilot deviation, possible pilot deviation.
Hey.
For 32177, contact New York on 128.55.
128.55, 1 New York, 177.
Trey Alpha Mike November, climb to maintain 7,000, expedite.
7,000 expedite, Mike November.
3 Alpha Mike November, I have a phone number for you to call, advise ready to copy.
Ready to copy, Mike November.
Got some explaining to do.
516-683.
5309.
That's for a possible pilot deviation.
Okay, 516-683.
5309.
3 Alpha Mike November, turn left 250, direct Stolberg.
250, direct Solar, Mike November.
New York approach, check your 32177.
If you're VFR and you're trying to call me, unable flight following. 3 Alpha Mike November,
No soup for
contact
you.
New York on 128.55.
28.5, Mike November.
You could hear a lot of talking in the background of that Learjet. Yelling,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I know.
The aircraft continued to the destination safely, it says. Okay. So as Liz, our producer in the control room, is saying to me right at the beginning of this, it seems like language could be a factor here in the lack or misunderstanding in the communications.
Yeah, but I mean, what I assume is the captain, the guy with the better headset and the stronger voice. He seemed to have a good grasp on what was going on, so I'm not quite sure why the error came in. I was looking at that departure plate, bit hard to see assigned altitudes on it. Was there a stop height at some point?
Yeah, there was. Here, let me pull this up and scroll to that part of it. It was 1,500 feet, which comes pretty quickly. Okay, where is there it is. Okay, looks like they took off on runway 24, climb heading 240 to 520 feet, then directly.
I've got it.
Yeah, you see it.
Level at Wentz.
Wentz at 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
Because, you have Newark, like right just south of there by a few miles.
Oh, golly, yeah. I've flown over
right.
Teterboro many times on my way into Newark. Very low.
Yeah. And it says expect vectors to assign route fix, maintain 2,000, expect clearance to filed altitude 10 minutes after departure. So here, the 2,000 on the departure is your altitude, which is, it seems that that's what they did. But they didn't, first of all, they didn't really closely track this departure at all. And a slant alpha, by the way, let's go back to the very beginning when he was getting his clearance and he was asking about his navigation suffix. And that's part of the flight planning system. I believe, I could be wrong, maybe somebody in the chat room can correct me, or Captain Nick can. But slant alpha used to mean no RNAV capability. That just means the old-fashioned VOR to VOR course inbound, course outbound VORs. And no, even if you have an RNAV system, the aircraft's not certified to actually use it for navigational purposes. Now, if you're a slant R, I mean, nowadays it's like it spits out huge numbers and letters, and not huge, they're not big, but a lot of garbage past the slant. Lots of ways to describe the navigational capabilities of modern airplanes. But in the old days, as I said, it used to be just a slant alpha or slant Romeo. Slant Romeo told them, hey, you can fly RNAV stuff, like this RNAV departure procedure. But I don't even think that they were really equipped, or at least legally equipped, to fly this departure. And it would have been better off for them if they had said, slant alpha, we're not RNAV capable, and just give me a vector and an altitude, and I bet we wouldn't be talking about them.
Very true. I was a little surprised that the air trafficker didn't know that, and that he was trying to ask them what slant alpha
Yeah, that's
or
true.
what the alpha suffix meant. And I'm going, well, you should know that, shouldn't you, buddy?
Yeah, but today's world, I mean, we have a lot of new people, Nick, and I remember it was like several years ago, I had to fly a Mad Dog between Austin, I think, or it was either Austin or Dallas up to Detroit. And the nav system on the airplane wasn't usable. And so we had to file basically slant alpha. We didn't have the capability to, proceed on RNAV departure procedures or RNAV arrival procedures or direct to a fix that was several hundred miles away or more. And every single controller would immediately go, okay, Acme 543, you're cleared direct to some fix that just was 100 miles away. And we go, well, we can take a heading and get us going. And then when we finally start picking up the free, that navigational aid, we'll be able to proceed directly to it. Oh, it's like it wasn't ringing the bell for them. This wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And so every single time, though, every time we got switched to a new en route frequency, they would do the same darn thing. It's like they're just not used to seeing people that don't have RNAV systems. I mean, even Cessna 172s have pretty advanced Garmin, navigational systems, and they can do all that fancy stuff, RNAV stuff, no problem. But
Yep, very true.
I think that maybe, yeah, you're right though. They should know that what slant alpha means.
But so should the pilots if they filed their own flight plan. I mean, I never filed a flight plan in 25 years of commercial flying, so
right.
Don't ask me how it's done.
I didn't either. That was all done for me.
Exactly.
But you look at the flight plan that you get, either electronic or paper or both, and you can see your identifier, your ship number, not ship number, but your registration number. And then it's a whole alphabet soup of stuff that gets spit out after that. But
I had the paperwork to decode it, so I always kept an example flight plan and all the decodes, so I knew how to. I could have puzzled one out eventually, I think.
Right, but what the heck it all means is like no way to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Anyway, I wonder how the telephone conversation went.
It was probably not a good one.
No. Do you know what 1500 with a little black line above and a little black line below means?
No idea.
No.
Never mind. Let's move on to this next one. It's a final report of an accident. I don't think did we talk about this, Liz, when it first happened back in 2021? Okay, I don't. It doesn't ring that.
No, I don't really. It's a sweet looking airplane, though.
Oh yeah, it's a Dassault Falcon 900EX, or how would you say that in French? The EX.
EX.
Very good.
EX.
Sounds exactly like the French language. Okay. So, final report from the National Transportation Safety Board involving this Falcon 900EX. The flight crew was conducting a flight with 2 passengers and 1 flight attendant on board the multi-engine jet airplane. So a three-holer.
I've worked it out. EX stands for excursion because that's the defining event.
I don't think that's really what they had in mind.
No? Okay.
They probably wouldn't sell too many if that was something that was they were destined for. The flight crew later stated that at rotation speed on takeoff, the captain applied back pressure to the control yoke. However, the nose did not rotate to a takeoff attitude. The captain attempted to rotate the airplane once more by relaxing the yoke, then pulling it back again.
Fly, airplane, fly, bend to my will.
And with no change in the airplane's attitude, he made the decision to reject the takeoff by retarding the thrust levers and applying maximum braking. The airplane overran the end of the runway onto a gravel pad where the landing gear collapsed.
Ouch.
So Tin Van Ram says his company has 3 990 EXs in their fleet. It's his favorite to fly on. Ooh, well, look at
Sounds
you.
nice.
Yeah, you probably don't want to fly this one, Tim. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, this is an interesting one here. Well, let's get to the report and the findings here. Let's see here. Okay. They plan to depart from runway 28 right at Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport in San Diego, California, with the destination of Ellison Onozuki Kona International, let's just call it, Hawaii. The captain was a pilot flying. The first officer was a pilot monitoring. Both crew members reported that before departure, the airplane had no pre-flight anomalies and all pre-takeoff checks, engine start, taxi, and engine run-ups. Who does an engine run-up in a jet?
I'm not sure.
I never do a run-up.
Just going to see if it works.
Yeah. Well, we do run. Liz is saying, well, what about after de-icing? Yeah, but they're taking off from San Diego, so I don't think. I know, but good point. You're right. We do at times do run-ups. So I stand correct. I sit corrected. The first officer reported that they planned for a maximum performance takeoff. A review of the cockpit voice recorder confirmed that there were no anomalies with the airplane announced by the pilots during pre-flight or while taxiing to the runway. The automatic terminal information service was obtained, and the crew briefed the departure and general routing. The crew discussed fuel, stating 19.5 required, and that we're going to burn 11.5, but they had an extra 6 to 7 on board. At a little time later, the crew performed the after-start before takeoff checklists, which included a brief discussion on what preferred trim settings should be, and a comment stating, "We're pretty far aft." That means they're very heavy. The airspeeds were acknowledged with the comment green 112 or green 112. The crew reviewed their departure plan and discussed their takeoff reject plan, including their intention not to reject the takeoff after reaching 80 knots. The crew then called the air traffic control tower to request a momentary takeoff delay for a short field takeoff. Don't know what that means, actually. The takeoff was initiated. The crew noted the airspeed was alive. They cross-checked 80 knots, and the first officer stated that they were committed to take off. The crew then called out V1, and then the first officer called rotate. However, 7 seconds later, the captain responded that they couldn't take off. The first officer called for thrust reversers, and the captain stated that he couldn't. I don't know what that means. Followed by repeat exclamations of, "We can't." Sounds consistent with the airplane departing the paved runway surface were recorded, followed by several master caution oral alerts and the captain stating, "Kill it," just before the recording ended. Too late. The airplane overran the departure end of the runway by about 315 feet, struck a berm, which sheared off all 3 landing gear. The airplane slid an additional 230 feet, came to a rest on a gravel overrun pad. The airplane sustained substantial damage to the wings and fuselage, and the fuel tanks were ruptured. Continuity was confirmed with the flight controls to the control surfaces, and significant fuel leakage was present, but no fire ensued.
Oh, they were lucky there.
Yes. So, this must have been a very professional and experienced crew.
Yeah, just one of those unfortunate days for them.
Yeah. The captain stated that he was employed directly by the owner of the airplane and had previously flown another airplane for the same owner. He reported having multiple type ratings in corporate jets. FAA safety inspectors who arrived on scene the day of the accident stated that when the captain was asked for his pilot certificate, he was not able to locate it, but eventually produced a certificate later in the day after continued requests. The airplane type rating for the accident airplane was not listed, so he didn't have a type rating for this. And a review of airman records revealed that the FAA had issued an emergency revocation of all his certificates 2 years earlier.
Oh dear.
So why, you asked? Were they revoked? Well, he had violated FAR 61-59 Alpha 2 while employed as a check pilot for a Part 135 operator by falsifying logbook entries and records for pilot proficiency checks, competency checks, and training events on 15
Wow.
separate occasions. Okay, a little fudging going on.
Oh, yeah.
15, yeah. The captain stated that he used his tablet and aircraft performance group, APG. Hey,
Not to blame it on us.
Oh,
Well,
no.
perhaps this is why it was 50% wrong.
well, let's go ahead and move on to the next item. Then on the,
Oh,
Tim
dear.
Beverly,
Uh-oh.
Captain George Santos. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. The captain was. Oh, wait a minute. So the captain stated that he had used his tablet and the APG performance data software to calculate performance. That's the problem. And filed a flight plan for the accident flight. When NTSB investigators asked the pilot for his tablet, he reported it was destroyed.
I swallowed it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. The dog
I
ate it.
swallowed the tablet.
Yeah, he reported he could not recall any weight, imbalance, or performance information from the accident flight and did not respond to any further correspondence.
Funny
The
old
captain
thing.
was enrolled for the DA 900EX Easy initial training on October 1st, 2020 at Flight Safety International. He was not issued a type rating because he never finished the ground or flight simulator training, although he attended the ground school portion of training. All right, so there's your captain there. The first officer
Wow. Wow.
stated that he was employed directly by the owner of the accident airplane. 2 years before the accident, he was hired as the owner's helicopter pilot and security specialist. When the accident airplane was purchased, he was offered the first officer position. At the time of the accident, he reported a total of 568 hours of flight experience, which included 380 flight hours in helicopters. Okay, so more than half of his, or approximately half of his experience was in helicopters, and the rest, a couple hundred hours, in fixed wing, I guess. According to Flight Safety International, the first officer was also enrolled for that same course, the DA 900EX Easy initial training. He completed the training on September 28, 2020, and received his type rating with pilot and command limitations on his second check ride attempt. Sounds like he didn't do super well on the check ride. At the time of the accident, he had logged 16 hours on this airplane. 16, so not a lot of experience. In an interview with NTSB investigators, the pilot stated that he confirmed the FMS inputs that were made by the captain, but later revealed that he was not proficient regarding the FMS. So I don't know. He's punching buttons there. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, dear.
Yeah, so it goes on to talk about the fact that the airplane they determined was a couple of 1,000 pounds overweight. I forgot exactly how. About 2,000 something pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And
which put the COG out of limits.
Yep, the COG was the center of gravity was out of limits. And said, according to the airplane manufacturer, an amber field limited message would eliminate on the told page, the takeoff and landing data page of the FMS, if the maximum takeoff weight is exceeded, and it would not compute takeoff speeds. Therefore, no takeoff card would have been displayed for the crew. Under this condition, the crew would be unable to acknowledge the performance calculations, thus preventing the correct airspeed bugs, V1, VR, from appearing on the airspeed tape. According to the aircraft manufacturer, it's possible for the pilots to change FMS suggested runway length or takeoff weight for the computation of takeoff speeds. The digital flight data recorder indicated that the captain attempted to take off at a rotation speed of 110 knots, indicated at the airplane's maximum takeoff weight. And remember, they were over the maximum takeoff weight. V rotate was calculated to be 133. Okay, so he tried about 23 knots, shy of the actual speed to rotate the airplane. That's why nothing happened when he pulled back on the yoke. The data further indicated that the rejected takeoff was initiated once the speed had reached 123 knots at the maximum, and the maximum airspeed recorded was 127 after the airplane decelerated to 102 knots and traveled 3,770 feet down the runway. The thruster reversers were fully deployed. I guess they did work. The airplane exited the departure end of the runway at 75 knots and impacted the berm at 59. and everything was functioning. Cockpit voice recorder, digital data recorder, and MDR, whatever that is. Yeah, no injuries though. I mean, the good news is that nobody was injured or killed during this thing, but man, that could have easily gone the other way here.
Yeah. Now, here's a question concerning this kind of an accident in the States. Would there now be a case brought against this captain by the FAA? Would they take him to court?
I don't know. I think it seems to me that they would have definitely a case against.
Well, yeah.
Against
I
him.
mean, having had his certificate revoked and having then tried to take an aircraft that was overweight with the wrong trim setting, et cetera.
I'm wondering if the owner of the aircraft could somehow go after the crew as well.
Yeah,
the
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, they are negligent. It's pretty obvious that they've done a dreadful job, and they were lucky to get away without a major fire and dying as a result. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they, even with this C or G problem, they didn't actually even select the best they could in the green band to try and assist them to get the nose off. I mean, they probably wouldn't have been able to do it anyway, not being able to achieve the required speed in the runway length, but they didn't even help themselves.
It seems to me that they knew that they were extremely heavy. They probably knew that they were overweight as well, and they had to do something to fudge, like make the FMS like spit out some numbers, or maybe the FMS never did, and they just kind of went, "Oh, about this speed would work,"
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems very shady to me.
Yep. Well, I hope no one else ever employs him.
And me too. And I hope that people understand that our performance data system, the APG system, was not at fault at all here. It was. Make sure. Okay, we're going to skip to F, Captain Nick.
Sure.
This is from the FAA.gov, so it must be official. The Federal Aviation Administration will require a secondary barrier on the flight deck of new commercial airplanes to ensure the safety of aircraft, flight crew, and air passengers. The final rule mandating the additional barrier will protect flight crews from intrusion when the flight deck doors open. According to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, every day, pilots and flight crews transport millions of Americans safely, and today we are taking another important step to make sure that they have the physical protections they deserve. Aircraft manufacturers are required to install secondary barriers on commercial aircraft produced after the rule goes into effect. No pilot should have to worry about an intrusion on the flight deck. The Biden-Harris administration made this rule a priority in 2021. In 2022, the FAA proposed the rule after seeking recommendations from aircraft manufacturers and labor partners. The rule meets a requirement of the 2018 FAA Reauthorization Act, although I didn't think it was actually in force yet. Didn't we talk about that on the first item? Anyway, so I guess the final rule has passed. It's just now they're waiting for the legislation the bill to actually pass. And then I think the aircraft manufacturers have like up to 2 years, I think, and then they have to manufacture the airplanes with this IPSB, I think, something interim or physical secondary barrier, or the I stands for something else. But anyway, the system does not have to be installed retroactively to all the airplanes that are out there flying today and made in the next couple of years. So, but at least progress is being made.
Yeah, it's amazing how slow these wheels turn. And sometimes you appreciate that there are no knee jerks, because often those initial knee jerks prove to be poorly thought out. But on the other hand, it's an awful long time since 9/11, which really kicked off this major concern with flight deck attacks. And it's, an awful lot of time has gone by, and we could have had these on new aircraft being built like the A350 and I don't know, later generations of the Dreamliner perhaps and the 747. So, we could have already had aircraft easily flying around with this additional protection. I think it's great. I appreciate the need for it. And despite the annoyance it might cause, I think it is a great step. I just, tear my hair out that it's taking so long.
Let's see. Micah is asking the question, how many extra doors do we need? Is 2 going to be enough? No,
I think
we need more.
it's the case of that when the flight deck door is being opened for someone to come out or go back in, that is obviously a vulnerable period, because if there is someone in the front galley, they can rush that door perhaps, and that's always been a failing in the system. So at least now, you've got to get, you can protect the flight deck while you open the first door. And if someone does rush it when you open the second door, well, the flight deck has still got a locked door in position. So it is considerably more secure.
Tim Van Ram in our live audience says the German wings incident proves that there should be a secret way to defeat the security door.
Considering the number of people that come in and out of the industry, I think keeping that kind of a secret is incredibly difficult. I would much rather see greater examination, greater control of pilots' medical situations, and a greater understanding of the problems facing someone with mental illness. And that, to me, is a better way of addressing it, because even if both pilots had been on the flight deck, it is quite possible that the man could have achieved his aims anyway.
iHaul Boxes has kind of a medieval kind of solution,
like that.
A pull-up gate with chains and water with Crocs in between. That's an idea. Although here's my proposal. I'd say maybe the first 25, 30%, maybe up to 50%, depending on the size of the aircraft, should be exclusively for aircrew members. And we have our own bathroom facilities, our own crew rest facilities, galleys, all that kind of stuff. And that way we're permanently sealed away from
massage
passengers.
bed. Yeah.
I don't
And
know if
all
we're
that, should have a buffet there and a bar and all that stuff. And it all should be sealed off from the great unwashed
dry cleaners
who get crammed now into the remaining part of the fuselage. Yeah.
And if we can't carry as many passengers, well, I just, it's safety. Safety is
No, I'm sure you
paramount.
can carry as many passengers. You just push that bulkhead until you can't move it any further, and then they're all squashed in there like peas in a pod.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of concerned about Jordan. Hey, chat room, check Jordan, make sure he's okay.
Oh,
he's having a
he's
stroke.
He is.
So Jordan says, yeah, I don't know.
I think he just sat on the keyboard.
Or his cat did, maybe. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move on to item number 1G. This is from airlive.net. Wait, nothing from Paddle Your Own Canoe or Aero Time or anything? Okay.
Who would have known?
I know. This is from, as I just said, airlive.net.
Oh, it's the sister. The
sister
bunch.
airline of Acme, our wonderful sister airline, Delta. A flight from Kennedy to Los Angeles on Saturday made an unscheduled landing in Utah due to technical difficulties, only to have an air slide
That's one way of putting it.
accidentally deploy inside the plane once it was on the ground. Apparently, it had nothing to do with the slide. That was a kind of a secondary issue. A crew member was hit unexpectedly by the exploding air slide and taken to the hospital.
I don't think it exploded, did it?
Well, it probably sounded like it was exploding, but I think it
Yeah.
was just filling rapidly with air
Yeah.
or nitrogen or carbon dioxide or whatever it is that they fill it with. So they had to stop in Salt Lake because of technical difficulties. And again, they don't really explain what the technical difficulty was.
The backup system's temperature instrument was on the fritz.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's the technical
Oh, yeah,
difficulty.
the next paragraph. The backup system's temperature instrument was on the fritz. I hate it when that happens.
Yes, exactly right. Well, take it off the fritz and stick it back on the aeroplane.
No kidding. Where is Fritz? Explain yourself.
Put that temperature thing back on.
Is that Captain Fritz or First Officer Fritz?
Yeah, well, hey, wasn't he in Hogan's Heroes?
I think so.
Yeah, well,
I know nothing.
and he's still working. He must be getting close to 67 by now.
Oh, that was not Fritz, but Schultz. Okay.
Oh, okay. Fair.
That
That
sounds
was
very
close.
similar. Let's see. The flight, which left New York City after 7 a.m., landed without incident, and passengers were asked to deplane. After a delay, the temperature instrument was taken off Fritz, and the plane was seemingly ready to take off again. I hope Fritz is okay, because that could be a very heavy instrument.
Well, I don't know. I think they say at the end it was an unnamed crew member that was hit, but I think we know who it was.
It must have been Fritz.
So you need to get to that bit now.
Okay. Well, after the passengers reboarded the aircraft and were ready to go, an inflatable slide at the rear of the plane was accidentally deployed inside the plane while it was still at the gate, hitting the unnamed crew member. And we've talked about this before. Imagine going through life without a name. That must be difficult.
Yes.
He was taken to the hospital, sources told the Post. One passenger described the slide as exploding inside the plane, while another said the crew had armed a rear door and that the air slide forced a panel out of the door when it accidentally deployed, striking the crew member like an airbag of a car. And of course, the bottom line here, and it's actually literally the bottom line of this news article. Sources said that the slide hit the unnamed crew member in the head and that the slide had been somehow accidentally deployed by the plane's catering crew. So when caterers come up to the airplane, you have to make darn sure that the doors are not armed, because when the caterer comes up, and usually the procedures probably vary with the airlines, but if you go up and they have like a little window there and they're looking inside for somebody, like usually one of the flight attendants, to give like Flight Attendant Fritz the thumbs up, and then when the caterer sees the thumbs up sign, in other words, okay, it's okay for you to open the door from the outside, and the door is not armed. Apparently, there was some miscommunication here, and the door was still armed or had just been armed, whatever. And catering came up, and I don't know, one of the safety cross checks here didn't happen. And
yeah, I think Fritz was holding that backup temperature instrument, and the caterer might have mistaken that for his thumb.
Oh, you're right.
I reckon that's what it was.
That's got to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, we solved
hit him in the head, poor Fritz.
Did the temperature instrument, backup system temperature instrument hit him in the head? Is that what happened here? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't like to speculate. You know.
Okay, yeah, we never
I
speculate
hate
here.
Speculating. No, we never do that.
That's pretty much all we do.
Afraid so. Yes.
Okay, well, let's. Liz says she wants to get to know what's happening with us. So there's our little bumper. Getting to know us, getting to hope you like us too. Getting to
know United States.
Yeah. All right. Very nice, Liz. Her singing keeps improving week to week. And unlike mine, which is just going right down the tubes. Yeah. Okay. So I always enjoy this part of the show because, during the week we do keep in contact with each other, but not everything is shared. And so it's kind of fun to hear what's been happening with everybody on the crew. And let's see, Nick, I know you've been very busy. I'm not sure what the heck you're doing, but it sounds like you're busy in communications that we have between shows. What's going on with you?
Well, I don't just averagely busy. It's just I think my capacity for doing things is reducing. So, you got this line. You've got one going up and one coming down, and they eventually cross. So I'm not getting
there,
as
man.
much done as exactly. But I have actually managed to finish a plain tale we've got for this week. So that's kind of good. Yeah, it's very good. I've been doing a little bit of negotiations regarding your visit and
Like
the
trying to talk
meetups
Jilly
we're
into
going to
letting me
have.
stay in your house?
Yeah, I've eventually
the
persuaded
negotiations
my
you were-
wife. No, actually, between you and me, she has said that you are undoubtedly the nicest guest we've ever had in our house, the least trouble, the nicest person, and she's completely unfazed by the fact that you're coming to visit.
Yeah,
so
especially
that's
when you
great.
compare me to Liz. I mean, I'm so much more of a delight.
male guest.
Okay, good. Whew.
Yeah, okay.
Now you're out of trouble, I think. Yeah.
I'm doing my best, backpedaling fast. Right, Jeff's visit. Right, he pitches up, and then we've in fact he's arranged to pitch up a couple of days earlier, so we can have a meetup on the 4th of July, and that's going to be at the RAF Museum in London, which is a part of London called Hendon, and the postcode, if you're going to tap it into your GPS guidance, sat nav guidance system, November Whiskey 95 Lima. We're sort of going to get there in the afternoon, so at an approximate 2 p.m, and then we're going to wander around the RAF Museum. I think it kicks us out at 5, at which point we will take a leisurely stroll across the road. It's only about, I don't know, 150 meters, a couple of
Like a
100
2-minute
feet.
walk or something. It's like
No time
close.
at all. To get to the Beaufort pub, which I presume is named after the Beaufort aircraft, the wartime twin-engined fighter bomber, which is in Heritage Avenue, number 2. Heritage Avenue in Hendon, November Whiskey 95 Alpha, if you're going to type that in. And that's where we're going to settle down and enjoy some IPAs and perhaps have a burger or something similar. And we're going to dress the pub up. Well, we're going to dress our table up with
I don't think we're going to dress the pub
American
up,
flags, and we're going to have a little 4th of July celebration with Jeff.
I'm sure they're going to
so he can thumb his nose at us and tell us how easily they beat us in the battle for their independence.
The British are coming.
Exactly. So that's going to be on the 4th of July, which I think is a very apt day to have a meetup. Really looking forward to that. It is, I think, a Tuesday.
Yes.
So if you're going to be at work, you can join us in the pub afterwards. If you're not, or you can get the afternoon off, then join us in both the museum and the pub, which would be fabulous.
Yeah.
But those who live a bit further north,
it's kind of an ironic meetup, I guess.
Yes, it will be. Absolutely. In fact, if you, bearing in mind what Londoners are like, if you get away without being scalped or similar, you'll have done quite well.
Maybe we should rethink this whole thing.
No.
Okay. I want to stay alive.
Oh, well, I think they'll probably let you keep, some vestige of life.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyway, we had some complaints from those who live a bit further north, and they said, well, look, you're coming all the way up to Oxfordshire to attend the Grand Prix. Couldn't you have a meetup up there as well? So Jeff said, well, okay, we can do that. So, okay, we are going to do that. And we're going to have the Great Northern Meetup. Well, it's not very far north, but it's a bit further north than London.
Slightly north.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
Now, that's the 7th of July. So that's Friday at a nominal 6 p.m. because we're not sure what the Grand Prix is like. And it'll only be practice day, so it might be over reasonably quickly. But, we'll try and get back we don't know what the traffic will be like. So anyway, we'll try and get back by 6-ish. Now, we were going to have it in the pub, but Captain Nigel has very nicely, considering he's not in the country, only his poor dear wife is.
So he doesn't have to deal with us.
Exactly. He has volunteered his house, which is a lovely big place, just on the main road into Upper Tad Martin, OX 15 5 SN Sierra November, Oscar X-ray 15 5 Sierra November, and it's as you approach the village, just around the 30-mile-an-hour sign, and you'll see some big brown doors on the left, which will be open, and you drive up a gravelly drive and park by the house. It's absolutely fabulous. We're going to have it outdoors, so poor Lou, who will be the only demery available, I think, doesn't have to do too much tidying up. And Jeff and I are gonna get some beer in, and we're gonna order some pizza, so there'll be something to eat and something to drink with any luck.
Yeah.
And by all means, let us know if you're going to come, but it's going to happen whether you say that or not. We're going to
be doing
just
this
have
anyway.
more beer to drink.
There you go.
Absolutely. Now, just in case the weather is inclement. Yes, is that? Yes, good word.
Yeah.
The wet weather option will be to abandon the patio outside of Captain Nigel's house and rush up the road into the village to the Lampert Arms, where we will consume their beer and order in some pizza to the pub. I've yet to have a word with the nice ladies that run the pub, but I've got some contact details, and I'll mention that we might be pitching up, but it's only a backup option. So that's the Lampert Arms in Upper Tad Martin, OX 15 5 TB Tango Bravo, and that's near Banbury. Those two places. So if you're sort of trying to find out on a map, that's where to look.
Yes,
so
and
they are the details of the UK meetups with Captain Jeff, and
Captain
we're
Nick.
all looking forward to it.
That picture, go back to that picture, Liz. Was that taken when we were in Banbury at that pub outside?
That's not actually the Lampert Arms. No, that is another pub we went to.
Yeah, like
I just thought
in Banbury itself, not.
Yes, it was on. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. It was on the outskirts.
Right, because I went
Banbury,
I went to mass that day, and then we met at the pub and went out on the patio or something like that. Isn't it?
I think no, because the pub we met when we went to church, we were inside.
Oh,
I think this is another pub because we did go to quite a few.
Yeah, well, we did. There are probably several that we went to that we just don't really recall it.
Absolutely, yes.
Never will.
So that's the situation there. So all that's going to happen, and we're throwing it out. Or at least Liz is kindly throwing it out on the social medias. So you should find out about it on the social medias. But we'll stick something on perhaps the website or some links or in the show notes. So the information is there. So
we'll stick it in there somehow.
Good. That's what she said.
The only other thing I'm going to mention, bowls continues apace. I had a really fortunate win yesterday, last night, in my county singles match. I'm now through to the 4th round of that competition thank you very much, against a very determined player, and I was about 11 shots behind, and it's first to 21. So I was really on my back heels, and it took a real effort to concentrate and try and catch up, which luckily I eventually did, and we ended up sort of 18 all, and then I managed to grab a couple of last shots and got to the 21 first. So
nice.
It was a lovely game with David, who belongs to the Hook Bowling Club, and he was a very nice chap. But afterwards, I was absolutely shattered. I really was. I've been concentrating so hard. Got through on the county triples. That was another tough match, but thoroughly enjoyed that. We're in the. I'm still going in the district pairs with my other partner, Gary, who is a great bowler, a lovely old gentleman like myself. So we're doing all right. We're enjoying it, but it is keeping me very busy.
I hope that this doesn't my visit over there isn't going to interfere with any of this. I don't want to.
I'm trying to make sure I play before or after, but I think I'm gonna probably have to play at least one match.
Oh, I hope so, because I want to go to one of these things and see what this is all about.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, in theory, it might happen. So yes.
Excellent. Liz is asking, did you want to say anything about your trip to London earlier in the week, or?
Oh yeah, something? Actually, yes, indeed. Yeah. I have got an interview in my recorder, which I recorded in a pub in London, and this was quite by chance. I got a lovely message from one of the Australian fighter pilots that I worked with when I was on 77 Squadron. He was sort of a brand new ab initio pilot joining the squadron, his first Hornet squadron. Big tall guy with one of those absolute classic, flat top haircuts. Great. His name was Scott. We call him Wood Duck. He let me know that he had arrived in the UK as the Australian air attaché to the embassy in London. I went, wow, that's brilliant. Anyway, we arranged to meet up in a pub near the Strand, where actually just down the road from the Aussie embassy, and sat down and consumed a couple of beers, and I stuck a microphone in front of him and chatted to him about his Air Force career. He has had a very interesting flying career, actually, because he hasn't done it all in the Australian Air Force. He actually left it for a while to go and work in the Middle East, and then came back to it some years later and carried on. Lovely guy. Great to see him again. I'll hopefully stick that up perhaps as a plain tale next week or the week after.
Sweet. Can't wait to hear it.
It was great fun.
Always nice to be reunited with people that you have a past with.
Indeed. And since I was in town and I knew the trains would be busy, I got in touch with my eldest son, who lives and works in London, and said, find a restaurant and we'll go out for a meal. And so I pitched up at this very posh steakhouse.
Did you mention that you were paying for it?
Yeah, treated my son. We got a huge 600 grams, ribeye and to share, which was absolutely brilliant. It was very tasty. Yeah, so that was good. It was lovely to see him and have a few beers.
Sweet, excellent. All right, would you like to talk about the cover art from our last show? Golly. Yes, I presented two options to the crew, one of which I've completely forgotten about. I can't remember what it was, but this was the one. Oh, it was a joke about open the pod bay doors, right,
Hal.
Exactly.
That's right. So it was a picture of the inside of that spaceship with the bloke getting sucked out of an open door, and he's going, "No, close the pod bay doors, Hal." Anyway,
I'm sorry,
that got voted down.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh, I love it. So play that again. I was talking over it.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
That is so cool, isn't it?
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
There we go. That's our future.
That is the
It's
future.
AI.
Exactly. So, that we discussed about the possibility that a report was received by some journalists that AI-driven drones had failed to respond to the Army's inputs and started doing their own thing. So we constructed some artwork for the day the drones turned, with some Army general holding his head as all the drones turn around and attack him.
Scary looking drones too, man.
They are very scary. Absolutely. So that one won through the day the drones turned.
Ooh. Very, very good. I love it. I love the what Mid-Journey pictures in its machine mind. For what a general's uniform should look like.
Yes.
Not
Absolutely. Although I did tell it that I wanted to see his back. And I actually had to do this with two pictures. So the general is a cutout from one picture and then pasted on the other. But it's a fantastic tool for getting unusual images, and I love it. I love the way it works.
Yeah, I love what you're doing with it. Looks great.
Thanks.
All right, very good. What have I been doing? Well, good question. I flew a couple of times during the week. It was just an overnight to Memphis, I think. I got some good ribs on Beale Street, and then a couple of days off, and then I just did yesterday I did a out and back to Asheville, North Carolina, and that's pretty much it. Not a lot of flying this week. 3 legs total. One of them a deadhead leg, so I only actually flew 2 flights this week, and I'm loving it. This is a lot of
excellent. Well done.
Fun. And I did, I managed to avoid a lot of weather by not doing a lot of flying this week. It's been kind of crappy weather here in the southern United States, southeastern United, well, actually all over the country, but really concentrated in the southern states this past week. And so I thought, I'm good. I'll just stay here and do something else. Of course, I did my singing.
I'm singing
on the last weekend, and also today. I've already done one mass, believe it or not. Earlier this morning, a special memorial.
You
mass
did one singing.
Well, I just did one singing. Yeah. Well, I actually sang more than once at the mass. I'm going to, Liz is saying I'm going to be extra holy this weekend. Yeah. So it'll be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 masses. I'm hoping that it has some effect on, my time in purgatory.
I'm sure it will
require a lot of time. Anyway, so
just wave at me because I know purgatory is above hell. So just wave down at me.
Oh no, yeah, purgatory is just outside the door of heaven. Actually.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
All right.
Well,
it's like in the. I don't know.
Hey,
look,
look,
you got a receptionist there.
This is not a religion podcast, so and I'm not proselytizing or anything, but just to say, a lot of people misunderstand it, and I did too until I became a Catholic. But if you're in purgatory, that means you are going to, at some point, make it to heaven. So if you've made it to purgatory, you're not going to go to hell. So just that again.
Okay.
Good to know. Yes, nobody really cares out there.
No,
well, maybe you should.
We do.
Oshkosh thing. Yes. Oh, the SimVenture. Yeah. Let's talk about that. So I was contacted by Kevin, as I mentioned in the last couple of shows, for us to mention SimVenture, which is your way to kind of get prepared if you're, especially if you're going to be flying into Oshkosh. And it's using simulator technology and real air. Well, you know what? I shouldn't tell you much more about it because in this little commercial that Kevin sent me, it explains it all. And so, again, we'll start with what he sent me. And
flying to Oshkosh this year, or know someone who is? The famous Fisk arrival and AirVenture can be very complex, busy, and fast-paced.
Okay, so I'm thinking that's nice. It's very informative. I just cut it off here after the first 6 seconds. I thought, I think that I can sweeten it up a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting. And so here is my sweetened version.
Flying to Oshkosh this year, or know someone who is? The famous Fisk arrival and AirVenture can be very complex, busy, and fast-paced.
Okay, so I played that last week, and oh, by the way, I never got any hate mail from Kevin or anybody over at Pilot Edge, so I guess we're okay. But Nick mentioned, he started criticizing it, saying, you know what, I don't think you've done enough sweetening, Jeff. You need to do something more. It needs to be sweeter, for sure. And so Nick poured his creative juices, which can be messy,
and wrecked
into this whole thing. and so this is the latest version via Nick's touches.
Get out the way! Help!
Flying to Oshkosh this year, or know someone who is? The famous Fisk arrival and AirVenture can be very complex, busy, and fast-paced. Whether you're a rookie or a veteran, everyone can benefit from some training and proficiency prior to following the railroad tracks and rocking their wings. Luckily, you can prepare ahead of time using your home flight simulator. X-Plane 11 Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 Prepared or FSX is your gateway to participate in SimVenture. SimVenture is put on by Pilot Edge and has the actual Oshkosh air traffic controllers volunteering for your benefit to help you prepare for AirVenture. It all happens July 13th through 16th. Visit pilotedge.net/SimVenture to learn more.
Okay. Now, if there's ever going to be any hate mail from Kevin and the folks at Pilot Edge, it's going to be coming soon.
Yeah, and we probably deserve it this time.
Yeah, we do. What happened to my camera? All of a sudden, it just decided to back out completely. That's weird. Hey,
well, at least it didn't zoom in on something it shouldn't see.
Yeah, that's strange. So, Liz, you're not hearing me on Skype. Yeah, I'm hearing you. And I think it's because I'm trying to use the same microphone for StreamYard and Skype. And when I mute it for... Okay, I can hear you. And so I got the message regarding Plain Tales. We're going to go to that first after the coffee fund. Okay.
And Super Fred says you're a little quiet now, Jeff.
Oh, I am. Well, how did that happen? What's going on here?
Or either that or I'm too loud.
Well, that's always true. All right. Well, shall I bump up? I don't want to get it too loud.
Up the volume.
Is that better? Okay. I don't want to overdo it.
No, that's good.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. So, again, check out the Pilot Edge is it net? Oh, shoot. I should probably have this written down somewhere. They talk about it in their little commercial there. Pilot Edge something. Just do a search for SimVenture, SimVenture. It's on the Pilot Edge website for more information about SimVenture 2023. And I do apologize, guys, for that latest version of your commercial.
I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I think
okay.
You've got to put up with it if you're going to have an advert on our show.
Yeah. Next time you got to pay us a lot more money.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time now for some coffee. The coffee fund, to be exact.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Oh, yeah. Coffee Fund is your way to support the show financially. And since our last episode, using the Coffee Fund Classic method, we have 3 community members that did that. Richard Adams, Cameron Brister, and Ernest Eaton. And they were all very generous donations. Thank you guys for that. Cameron, I'm assuming, is a guy, but maybe it's a girl. Anyway, it's one of those names. Could be either. And I had it all queued up. Of course, I must have taken too long to get to this page again. So let me pull it up. And oh no, now it's asking me for second. Well, that's what I'm getting to, Liz. That means that people have sent in notes with their donation. And I had it all set up to read, but I guess my PayPal site timed out. So I'm going to do this. We're going to start all over once I get this thing up, so it doesn't sound so horrible. I have to do a second, not only a second tape, but I have to get a second factor authentication to log into my account, my top secret PayPal account. So hang on, let me quickly do that. I almost said it out loud. And my identity is confirmed. Yes, I'm who I think I am. And we're going to go here to this. Okay, now I'm ready to talk about that. So that, yeah, Liz, that means the asterisks mean that they sent we did that a couple of shows ago. I had the same little asterisk there for the note. Well, it was more than a few days ago. You probably won't remember it. I'm talking about myself, not you. Okay. I love you. Okay. All right, let's go. Where are you? There we go. The Coffee Fund. Your way to support the show financially.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No thanks.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.
Oh yeah, that coffee, I love it. And the beer and our community, our wonderful community out there, especially those of you who are part of the Coffee Fund Cadre or the Coffee Bar Club. And a couple different ways you can do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method. And since the last show, we have 3 people who made very generous donations. We have Rich Adams and Cameron Brister and Ernest Eaton. And let's see, Cameron says, APG crew, thanks for the excellent show. I appreciate your dedication to regular episodes and quality content. Enjoy a cup of coffee or two on me. Best regards, Cameron. Thank you, Cameron. Yeah, we do like being regular. Regular is a good thing. And then Ernest Eaton sent in this little note, playing catch up, long overdue. Keep up the great podcast. Ernie. Thank you, Ernie. Do appreciate the notes. So if you use the Coffee Fund Classic method, you can put a little note in there if you'd like, and we'll read it on the show. Yeah, love note. Yeah, the lovier the better, actually, and more of a chance that we'll read it on the show. Just kidding. We'll read it anyway. And the other way to be part of our Coffee Fund cadre is to be a patron of the show via Patreon.com. And since the last episode, I'm just trying to find the StreamYard thing so I can see. There it is. There's the slide. Since the last episode, wow, we had some people take action and sign up as patrons. We have 2 new producers, Kit M and Gene Zenk. I love Kit. That's a great name. And Gene, that's a nice name too. And then we have a new executive producer, Robert Hussey. So thank you very much for that. All right, so it's going to be a little jerky there. Sorry. And we do appreciate the fact that you guys signed up as patrons of the show. So, hey, if you're out there wondering, what the heck? I'd like to support the show financially too. Head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. And, as we say, you'll be glad you did. And we will too. All right. And now, time. Oh, normally we go to feedback. We're going to do plain tail time. Yeah, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. So yeah, let's go into. We definitely don't want to miss the plane tail. It's been a while since we've had one, so this is going to be nice. Yeah, very special. And just for the record, I mean, if you want to do one every 2 months or every year or whatever, I don't care. As long as we get I don't want you to stop doing them forever. So
I won't, but I may not stick to a particular schedule.
there you go. That's perfect, because then we won't expect it, and then when we get one like this, it'll be a wonderful surprise. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right to the old pilot's plane tales in this week's episode entitled The Risk Takers. Take it away, old pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales, The Risk Takers, or The Old Curmudgeon Rides Again. So you want to be an airline pilot. You want to travel the world, visit strange and exotic countries, and immerse yourself in the wonders of foreign cultures. You want to make a good living, bring up a family, and plan for a wonderful retirement, driving your luxurious RV around the wide open spaces of your beloved country. Has it crossed your mind that your chosen occupation might not be the safest way to achieve your dreams? It's not like you've chosen to be a military pilot, whose membership of the profession of arms brings a vastly increased risk of death, either at the hands of your enemy or just while training to fly high-performance fighters. No, you've chosen to be a boring commercial pilot, where the odds of you being killed in an air accident are 1 in 29.4 million, according to the NTSB. Dr. Arnold Bennett of MIT tells us that if you took one domestic flight a day every day of the week, odds are you could go 36,000 years before you'd die in a plane crash. Whereas the odds of you dying in your recreational vehicle, with traffic accidents being one of the leading causes of death in the United States and many other countries, means that your retirement might be alarmingly short-lived. You have undoubtedly decided that wearing the dark uniform of a pilot while striding purposely through the airport, flashing your golden ranked stripes to all the pretty girls and boys as you tug your flight bag along, is the way to go, particularly with those odds. It's not like you're going to want to be someone who works with, say, motorized garden machinery. Oh no, not with all those whirring blades, chomping chainsaws, chippers and mowers. That's much too dangerous. Nor would you choose to be a construction worker, with its inherent risk of falling from high buildings, being crushed by massive plant diggers and the like, particularly with only that natty orange jacket and plastic hard hat to protect you. The iron and steel industry wouldn't be your choice either, with molten metal being ejected from the fiery furnaces at a mere 1,500 degrees centigrade, 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, to be pounded by vast mechanical hammers spraying liquefied shards of metal around. One job you would definitely steer clear of is perhaps riding said steer, or should I call it a bull? Professional bull riders can certainly rake in a good amount of money, but is that worth bouncing around on a leaping, spinning and plunging Brahman crossbreed weighing 1,500 pounds and topped by wickedly sharp horns attached to a skull of mighty thickness? You might be safer off hiding underground along with other miners who dig into the Earth's crust in search of mineral treasures, or perhaps not, as they risk cave-ins, explosions, chemical leaks, falls, electrocution, toxic fumes, and being crushed by heavy machinery whilst working in an appallingly dark and cramped environment. You definitely wouldn't want to be one of New York's finest in their blue uniforms facing the streets of a violent metropolitan city with their murdering gangs and homicidal maniacs. Nor would you want to be a Hollywood stunt performer who steps in when things get too hairy for the star of the show to risk, like leaping off tall buildings, crashing vehicles, fighting with real weapons, getting chairs broken on their heads, and a myriad of other terrifying stunts that thrill the movie-going audiences. No, surely being an airline pilot has to be a safe and secure profession. Much better than being a linesman, suspended from high wires carrying thousands of volts of electricity in extreme weather, where the risk of electrocution or deadly falls is an everyday hazard. If you believe that, then perk up your ears, dear listener. Being a commercial pilot has consistently been in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, and more often than not, amongst the top 3. The only jobs that are regularly considered more deadly are that of a lumberjack and a deep-sea fisherman. But that small consideration surely wouldn't put you off. After all, it's not like you're going to be working from dawn to dusk flying a crop duster. All that buzzing around at the height of a telegraph pole, or even lower, breathing fertilizer dust or insecticide all day, working from semi-prepared strips and into fields surrounded with cables, trees, and novel obstructions, all designed to be as invisible as possible and all prepared to bring you down. Nor will you be spending your nights flying alone through filthy weather in busy European airspace, in and out of airports with complicated procedures for which your barely equipped, aged and tatty twin-prop machine can hardly cope with. Behind you, the cabin is stuffed to the gunwales with newspapers, mail, and the odd demented passenger, whilst your money-grubbing and inconsiderate employer demands that you rush on, regardless of the ever-worsening icing conditions and your max takeoff weight. Oh, hang on. In order to get to that magical point in your life when you can start the nail-chewing process of ploughing yet more money into exams, instrument and type ratings, that's often exactly what you'll have to do. Unless, of course, you belong to a country which has a yellow brick road that takes you straight to Nirvana and the right-hand seat of an A320. Do not pass go, do not collect £200. The reason that road is yellow is because it's paved with your gold, or if you're very lucky, the gold from the bank of Mum and Dad. That road is safer. That road circumvents the years of character building, living life on the edge flying, that makes sensible people invest their efforts into becoming accountants, not lion trainers, and certainly not lumberjacks.
I wanted to be a lumberjack, leaping from tree to tree as they float down the mighty rivers of British Columbia. The giant redwood, the larch, the fir, the mighty Scots pine, the smell of fresh-cut timber, the crash of mighty trees, with my best girlie by my side.
Assuming you survive your apprenticeship and are bestowed with the magical license that every career-making professional pilot yearns for, which airline are you going to pursue? Because it might make all the difference to your life expectancy. Whilst there isn't a CEO alive who won't tell you that safety is their first concern, their primary goal, the very top of their priorities, that doesn't always translate into reality. Of course, the reason that many dodgy airlines still attract passengers and stay afloat despite a disastrous safety record is the same reason that some people will always buy cheap shoes. Despite the fact that they know their shoddy footwear is going to split and leak inside a year, they will always balk at the cost of a decent pair of boots, like the legendary R.M. Williams handmade shit kickers. Established in 1932, a pair of these world-famous, in Australia, boots will cost you 650 of the local trading tokens, 430 greenbacks, but only £400 sterling, a sum that will seem insignificant 20 years and 14 million miles later when you're still marvelling at how your fine, gleaming, flying boots look and how comfortable they are. Mine have been rehealed and resold a few times, and they feel as good as they ever had. Of course, there are a lot of variables to take into account when choosing your airline. You may be aiming at one described as a legacy carrier, but just remember Pan Am and TWA were world-famous leaders of the industry once. Now they live in various museums and history books. And if it weren't for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, we might not have Delta, United, or American, who themselves have swallowed up a host of others. You might want the best pay or the most convenient basing, but I wonder how many of you have considered the safest, or perhaps more importantly, the least safe. Airlines are, not surprisingly, a little unwilling to make detailed incident data freely available, so most observers rely on the blunt instrument of counting accidents and fatalities, which are usually a matter of public record. These numbers aren't put into the context of accidents per air mile, or even taking into account the longevity of an airline, but to have any accident on your record is obviously a black mark, even if there are mitigations. Leading the pack in both accidents and fatalities is American Airlines, with 11 airframes totaled with a loss of 858 people. However, Air France comes a close second, having also lost 11 aircraft, but with a much smaller loss of life. China Airlines, Korean Air and Pakistan International are all up there, but these are meaningless statistics, unless they are measured against some form of yardstick. The longevity of an airline is a major factor, since new outfits usually have modern equipment and have hardly been around long enough to suffer many losses. But by that measure, KLM and Qantas should be right up there, having been formed in 1919 and 1920 respectively, but they are not. KLM doesn't feature in the top 20 of airframes losses, and only 17th in fatalities, and Qantas has been named by airlineratings.com as the world's safest airline from 2014 to 2017, and again for 3 years running between 2019 and 2021. On the other hand, from the United States, only Air Alaska appears in the top 10. When it comes to the list of airlines that have never had a fatal crash, the list is quite long, but many have been formed relatively recently, like Wizz Air in 2004, Aegean and EasyJet in 1995, whilst others have been around a little longer, like Sun Country Airlines 1983 and Virgin Atlantic 1984. As much as I would like to celebrate the safest bunch, it's actually the most unsafe that we're all really interested in. Not that, hopefully, many of you will be seeking employment there. Certainly not with Air Koryo, which operates out of North Korea. According to Skytrax, this disastrous airline with its aging fleet of Soviet aircraft was the only one of 681 carriers to maintain a 1-star ranking for 4 years running, and Kim Jong-un used Air China to take a recent flight to Singapore for a summit. Ariana Afghan Airlines might also be one to steer clear of. They currently have 5 aircraft in their fleet, but have written off 19 in their history. Despite this awful record, it should be mentioned that they have only seen the demise of 154 people, and they've been around since 1955. Not only that, but they fly in some pretty unforgiving terrain and have suffered through a number of conflicts, which have seen their aircraft struck down by weapons fire. However, despite that, they are still banned from flying into European airspace. That also applies to another Afghan airline, Cam Air. Why are they considered one of the world's most unsafe airlines? Well, they have only been in operation for a decade, but have already managed enough fatal accidents to result in over 100 passenger deaths. They were at one time blacklisted by the United States for allegedly smuggling opium on civilian flights, a charge that the airline denied, despite having a fleet of the infamous drug-carrying MD-82 and MD-83 Mad Dogs. Papua New Guinea is also blighted by hostile topography and a lack of sophisticated navigation aids, which might explain one of its airlines' disastrous safety record of 7 deadly crashes since 1992. It doesn't appear in many lists, partly because of its habit of regularly rebranding, having gone from Milne Bar Air to Airlines PNG and now PNG Air. Yeti Airlines are another carrier which requires their pilots to have nerves of steel. Outdated aircraft, terrible weather, and horrible hills are a few of the daily problems facing the airline, but flying around the Himalayas isn't for the faint-hearted. Nepal's 17 carriers are all banned from flying into European airspace, as the country has suffered 27 fatal crashes in the past 3 decades. Still, that's probably safer than risking a road trip through the country's most dangerous mountain passes, as 40% of those end in disaster. AirlineRatings.com have generously awarded a single star out of a possible 7 to Yeti Airlines, Nepal Airlines, Tara Air, and Buddha Air. Of course, not every incident and accident is the fault of the airline, even if it doesn't have a favourable safety audit. Trigana Air Service has had 10 hull losses and 14 accidents since 2002, and is another 1-star operator. No, Texas, being a Lone Star state, isn't really a good thing. On one occasion, a Trigana Twin Otter carrying 8 passengers and crew had several shots fired at it whilst landing at Mulia Airport in Papua Province. Both pilots were injured, which, perhaps not unexpectedly, caused them to lose control and the aircraft veered into an airport building. 4 injuries and 1 death resulted. From police headquarters, Chief Boy Rafli Amar made a statement. "We're really sorry of the incident," he said. "The airplane was fired upon from unknown direction. Some bullets went through the airplane. Bullet shrapnels cut through passengers' bodies. The airplane landed imperfectly. The airline remains banned from flying to either the US or the EU. And remember, even if you survive your accident with your dodgy airline in a strange country, your troubles may only be starting. Always join an Airline Pilots Association that can support you around the world. If your association can't help, call the IFALPA emergency number, +44 1202 653 110. Do not answer questions from the authorities without legal representation. Ask the authorities to contact your nearest embassy or consulate to advise them of your detention. In some countries, you have the right to remain silent. Do not sign anything without legal representation. Following an accident, you may not be fit to answer questions. Discharge your responsibilities to ensure the safety of your passengers and crew. Secure the aircraft and/or the accident site. Notify your company and ask them to inform the appropriate local authorities. Try and keep your crew together and obtain them rest facilities. If you are required to submit to a drug and alcohol test, ensure that you retain a duplicate sample for independent analysis. Produce your flying license if required, but do not allow others to retain it. Consider carefully the wisdom of conducting further flights. Obtain copies of all original documents and recorded interviews. Only complete written statements with the help of your legal counsel. If compelled to make a statement, do it in your own language, stick to facts, and do not speculate. Wherever possible, delay until you are rested and in a good mental state. And be careful out there.
Past performance do not guarantee future results. Your mileage may vary.
Absolutely, and all those caveats. Well, the only serious bit of that really was the last bit. That's actually pretty good advice that most airline pilot associations will give you if you ask for them. In fact, our outfit used to provide a natty little checklist which you put in your license, back of your license, so that you always had it with you just in case you had to think about what your priorities were if you survive an accident or incident in a foreign country.
Yeah. You can be in a whole heap of trouble. If you're
yeah, but it's an interesting, I mean, the main statistic to take away from this is that being a professional pilot has consistently been the third most dangerous occupation in the world.
Yeah. Well, if I'd known that, I would have done something else, I think.
I mind you, I think that's getting better all the time. In fact, I think it's just around in the top 10 at the moment because it kind of, things are improving as, equipment gets more modern, etc.
And things are going to be a lot safer pretty soon when I retire in a couple of months.
Well, come on, Jeff, tell us, how many crashes have you had?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Oh, well, really run out of fingers and thumbs, have you?
I haven't had any crashes yet. I haven't even dented or bent metal.
Well, let's tap some wood.
Yes, wood.
Before we go on any further.
Yeah. I'm hoping for the best. Fingers crossed and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not really superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. All right. Yeah. Well, great. That was a really nice one. I enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Captain Nick.
Well, the old curmudgeon stayed hidden away for quite a while. He needed to be let out of his box.
I'm glad he got a chance to come out from under the rock. And
before you all write in, please remember that we should be taken with a very large pinch of salt.
Yes.
The old curmudgeon.
Here's the old curmudgeon.
Oh, yes, with one of Pip's hats. Safe Jets.
Pip kind of, I think he's the one that took that picture of me in the hotel lobby. That was for the 200th episode, I think.
Oh, indeed. Yes, that's right. That was a long time ago. You were wearing a Christmas tie, weren't you?
I don't know, or was that something else? I don't remember now.
Well, I think that was, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a really old one. But haven't you got the Three Kings or something on your tie?
That was around Christmas time, or actually beginning part of the year. This was the trip down to Miami because the tie and all the fact that we or did you do that in Photoshop, getting rid of the Acme widget on the hat?
No, I think the Acme widget and the Acme stuff is what you were wearing on the day, I'm sure.
Okay, I think so too. I kind of remember. I think Pip took this picture actually.
Yeah, so, and your Acme ID badge.
Yeah. All right. Memories. And if you want to listen to a great show and hear Captain Jeff crying at the end of it, and a lot of beer spillage, the 200th episode is quite something.
Oh, that
okay.
Was indeed
I'm sorry, Liz. What did you say? Let's get going. Yes, ma'am. All right. It is time now for some feedback.
Captain, incoming message.
Liz always gets impatient.
Well, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Got to keep cracking
Okay.
the whip, Liz.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We're going to start with number 3, feedback from Mike. And Mike Smith in Maynard, Massachusetts, our Sonic pilot. When I was at the Intrepid Museum in New York City this past weekend, I noticed for the first time that the Concorde did all the other passenger jets one better. Instead of just having a skid to deflect a tail strike, it has a tail wheel. Who knew the Concorde was a tail dragger aircraft? And then he sent in a picture to prove the fact that the Concorde is actually a tail dragger.
Yeah, it's also a cafe awning for the cafe at the Intrepid Museum, which I think is a little demeaning for that fantastic airplane. But
well, you know,
go.
Those Yanks, no respect.
Yes, they
right.
Yeah, they think of it as just another Airbus.
All right.
You're quite right. I mean, the aerodynamics of Concorde were incredible. If you look at the history, no one could work out how they were going to get an airplane that could go back to get it back to a decent landing speed. And all the predictions were that it would be landing incredibly fast, and it would have to be at such a high angle of attack in order to generate enough lift to bring that speed back, that it would need hugely long undercarriage, improbably like stork legs sticking out the bottom. And it was only the amazing aerodynamicists that worked out how to create the shape on the wing that would form a ram's horn vortex, a vortex of flowing down the leading edge that artificially changes the shape of the wing, giving it much more lift at low speed. That allowed them to have a reasonably conventional looking undercarriage airplane. But of course, because it came in so nose high, they had to droop the nose, and as an added protection, because the tail was so close to the ground, they put a wheel there rather than, a lot of Boeings have got a little,
like a skid plate,
got a little stick, a piece of old stick sticking out there. I don't know.
Oh,
tail
like when they're on the ground to keep the tail from?
No, just to prevent the fuselage from striking the ground if they get a tail strike.
Yeah, it's like a tail skid.
Skid.
System.
That's the word I was looking for. But
Yep.
Concorde went one more. You're quite right.
Well, yeah, I think all airplanes should have that.
That's a neat idea.
Or the tail gear.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
We should taxi around like that.
All right, let's jump to this one. We're really looking forward to this one. A while back, Rob wrote in. And he said he asked, you've heard of Chat GPT, right? The AI.
Yeah, I've never tried
engine.
it. Have you had a go?
Pardon?
Have you had a go at this yet, Chat GPT?
Yeah, I have. Remember we read that. I asked him something about the Airline Pilot Guy show.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you did that.
Yeah, I did
brilliant.
That. It wrote a remarkably, I don't know.
Realistic,
accurate, nuanced description of our podcast, and I was kind of blown away actually. But anyway, Rob, part of our APG community, asked GPT to write him a new passenger announcement in a Shakespearean style, and so he sent us the text of that, and we all had a good laugh. And then we were thinking, well, we'll just read it on the show. However, we thought we'd do one better. We'll ask Captain Nick to read this in his best, Shakespearean style. And this is...
I tapped my latent lovey.
There you go. So here's the result.
Good morrow to thee, noble passengers. I am your trusted captain, steersman of this lofty vessel in the sky. 'Tis with great privilege and profound responsibility that I welcome you aboard this valiant metal bird, our godly craft that doth take us hence through the heavens. We embark upon this journey, traversing the firmament betwixt our place of departure and our desired haven. We venture forth together, defying the earth's hold and embracing the azure realm above, proving once more that mankind doth not belong solely to the ground, but to the sky as well. As the sun sets yonder, we prepare to cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check. I think someone pressed a button. There's a look of consternation from Jeffrey. Is it still playing, or is it just me that can't hear it? Oh, it's okay. It's not just me then. Thanks, Jim. I think the control rooms are scratching their heads.
Yes, I can hear you on Skype. Jeff's working on it, folks.
Okay, no
Stand
problems,
by.
Liz. It's on the fritz, says I all boxes. I'd love to know the actual chat APG, yes. I don't know the origins of that term. I'm sure it comes from the same era where we started describing badly built things as being jerry built. Chat was stupid. Very good. Very good.
Okay. I'm sorry. For some reason, StreamYard auto muted me.
Oh, okay. Well, you're back now.
Probably because I had the audio playing. Although it shouldn't do that. I think this all fell apart when I used my new little Stream Deck button to unmute Skype so that I could talk to Liz, and it somehow no, it's not your fault, Liz. It's my fault for trying to introduce new technology. Apparently,
hang on a minute. That's every show.
Well, I know, pretty much every show. Okay, I don't know. Sometimes you just go, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to take myself off of mute on Skype, and I'm still on StreamYard, and we're going to go ahead and
from the top?
Yeah, I guess we're going to, yeah. Well, I'm just going to play the whole thing, and then I'll splice it all together. Okay. All right, here we go. Back over. I guess it just gets a little finicky when I start doing other things while audio's playing. We've heard the little place where the music was going, bling, ding, ding, like little fairy keys and stuff. Yeah. Okay.
That mankind doth not belong solely to the ground, but to the sky as well.
Right in here.
As the sun sets yonder, we prepare to soar through the vault of heaven. We assure thee our diligent crew is at thy service, dedicated to making thy passage comfortable and secure. Do kindly obey their wisdom and instructions, for 'tis they who are the angels watching over thy comfort and safety. Now, good passengers, fasten thy belts, settle thyself in comfort, banish all cares. We shall fly as if on Pegasus' wings. Fare thee well on our journey, and know 'tis our honour to serve thee. Sit back, enjoy thy flight, and let not the thought of our altitude unsettle thee, for we are but stardust, traversing the infinite canvas of the cosmos. Once more, welcome aboard. Trust in our course as we venture forth into the boundless celestial yonder.
Beautiful. Makes me want to tear up a little bit.
It took me ages to learn to play that piano piece.
I love that. You know, in fact, I think I'm going to incorporate that into my PAs from now on.
Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit of background music. Mind you, you've usually got the boarding music. What's it like on Acme? I can't remember.
It's a whole variety of crap.
do they play the going around song?
I don't know what that is.
The go around. You
go around.
Go around song.
They try not to select that one. But Going Green.
Good idea.
That's one. That's one of the popular ones. Of course, this one, they try to keep that from being played too many times. It kind of tends to.
Is that your air marshal shooting himself in the foot?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I have to say, if that was exactly how ChatGPT produced this, it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yes, it is. It's pretty amazing.
And was a delight to read, I might add.
I can tell you enjoyed that. Love the music
definitely.
selection too. Very nice.
Now, thank you. I was trying to find something Elizabethan. It's a bit hard. A query. How would you pronounce "we shall fly as if on Pegasus wings"? Should it be Pegasus wings or Pegasus's wings?
Pegasus wings.
Good. Okay.
You did.
I ummed and ahed about that, but I couldn't be bothered to check.
Yeah, because it takes so much effort to type it in Google.
Yes. It does indeed. Yes.
Anyway, so thanks again, Rob, for.
Brilliant job, Rod. Yeah, thanks. That was so much fun reading that.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to skip to number 6 from JJ Not Pittsburgh, and he says, first flying gig. I thought I'd update you and let you know I finally received my first flying job. I'm officially a jumper dumper. Yay!
Wow!
I just leave out the backstabbing part. Thanks for the great content, JJ Not Pittsburgh in Tulsa. P.S. I also want to throw my vote in the hat for another Tulsa meetup soon. Yeah, me too. I hope that, in fact, I was just talking with Sean the other day about the fact that I need to get back to Tulsa at some point in the future. And so, I look forward to seeing all my Tulsa friends, community members soon. And well, it looks like you emailed a response to Jordan, Captain Nick, when you talked about the backstabbing part.
Oh yes, well, I was a bit curious because I've never been in this realm of flying before, but I did write to him saying congratulations, Jordan. But if you don't try and stab him in the back, how do you get him to jump? And it was thinking about that. I've worked out how Steph does it. Her landings must be so awful that they'd rather risk their lives by jumping out of the airplane than they would in staying on and trying to, survive one of Steph's landings.
I think you nailed it. Okay, let's skip to.
I assume
8.
the same applies to Jordan.
Yeah, it does. Let's go over to 8 from Mike. He says, "Hello, APG crew. I really want to thank all of you for doing this podcast and creating the APG family. I'm 35 and in the process of changing careers to finally fulfill my dream of being an airline pilot.
Brilliant.
The process of getting my private pilot license has been a lot harder than expected, and you guys really helped me get through it. I'm completing my flight training while also keeping my travel-heavy 9-to-5 job. This means that the time I have for flying is limited, and I often have to ask a lot of my family so that flying can fit into the schedule. Last September, I was finally ready to schedule my check ride. Long story short, over the next several months, I had 5 or 6 DPE, which is a designated pilot examiner, cancellations, just as many cancellations for weather, Midwest winters, gross, and then 3 maintenance cancellations. Fast forward to mid-April of this year, and I was beginning to lose hope. I never lost the dream, though, but after seeing the toll it took on my family as I repeatedly locked myself away for most of a day to brush up on knowledge for the oral and replan my cross-country for the 14th time, only to throw it in the trash the next morning, I began to wonder if it was worth it. Fortunately, my wife has been a big supporter, and so has my dad. He would remind me that it's very important to show my kids that they should pursue a career that they love, even if they have to work hard for it. He wanted to see me become a pilot since I was a kid, so I didn't want to let him down. Listening to APG every week has also helped tremendously to remind me of the end goal. Hearing stories from the crew, along with great listener feedback, kept my head in the game. After my weekly dose of APG to keep me focused, I decided to continue. I found a flight school in Florida with sunny skies, no ice, and 3 intersecting runways. What crosswind! And headed down there to get it done. After a familiarization flight in the local area, I finally did it. I passed the ride and was one step closer to being horribly abused on reserve in the right seat of a regional. I mean, living my dreams. I desperately wanted to share the news with my dad, but unfortunately, he passed away 2 weeks before I could get that check ride in. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to start a philosophical debate or anything here. I just wanted to share an interesting story from my trip home the next day on Acme's sister airline, Delta. I've been flying Delta religiously my whole life, thanks to my dad, who was also fiercely loyal. And as a kid, I used to love getting those plastic wings from the crew. Now that I'm told after hundreds of flights as an adult, I haven't received a set for probably close to 3 decades. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Now that I'm old, after hundreds of flights as an adult, I haven't received a set of... try that again. Wow. I've been flying Delta religiously my whole life, thanks to my dad, who was also fiercely loyal. And as a kid, I used to love getting those plastic wings from the crew. Now that I'm old, after hundreds of flights as an adult, I haven't received a set for probably close to 3 decades. For some reason, as I boarded my connecting flight from Atlanta back to my hometown, the flight attendant handed me a pair of wings. And we're showing a picture of that in the live audience.
Yeah, I never knew that Delta had a uniform made of denim. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so it's Casual Fridays.
Oh, is that they have a special denim uniform? How neat
I think
is
that's
that?
actually.
I think Acme should start that.
I think that it's actually the plastic wings that he put on his leg, and he's wearing jeans. Guessing.
Okay. You think?
I didn't think much of it at the moment. I just laughed, thanked him, and put them in my pocket. Personally, I didn't believe there was much of an afterlife. Wait, I didn't really believe there was much of an afterlife. Okay. Personally, I don't. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Personally, I didn't really believe there was much of an afterlife. I thought after our time on Earth was over, that was pretty much it. As I sat on the plane, thinking how strange it was that someone gave this random adult man traveling by himself a set of novelty wings meant for kids, I had a sudden thought. Perhaps there's something out there waiting for us after our time here is up, and maybe the wings were my dad reaching out to say congratulations. Or maybe it was just a coincidence, who knows. But it makes for a fun story and gives me one more reason to like Delta. Just in case, for my first official flight as a pilot, I pinned those wings on my 6-year-old, who also wants to be a pilot when she grows up, and we went for some $500 hamburgers. We spent a moment remembering Grandpa on the way, and we listened to APG both ways in the car on the way to and from the airport. My daughter loves Plain Tales. She thinks Captain Nick has a great storytelling voice. She also likes Captain and Dr. Steph because there's a girl pilot too. Yeah, that's awesome.
Brilliant.
So thanks again, APG. I know a lot of work goes into the show. Us listeners out here appreciate you and really do feel like part of the APG family. Gratefully, Mike Grozlecki. And he says, P.S. Maybe one day when I'm finished backing up dump trucks full of money to my flight school, I'll be able to join the coffee flub. I'll be able to join the coffee club to say thanks more officially. Thank you, Mike.
What a lovely letter.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely great.
Awesome.
I love his thoughts of what might have instigated those wings, and how sad that his dad passed just before he was able to make that big first step.
Yeah, not really a complete parallel, but my goal of being hired by Acme after I finished my career in the Air Force, well, not really a career, but my time in the Air Force, I didn't get to share with my dad because he died about 3 months before I was hired by Acme, which is, I guess now coming up on 35 years ago. So hopefully, he's up there watching and he's proud of me.
Yeah, I know. Our dad's been meant so much to us, and I think I consider myself so lucky that I was eventually able to fly him in a A340 halfway around the world. It was definitely one of my proudest moments.
Yeah. And he didn't mention his daughter's name, I don't believe, but so Mike's daughter out there, if you're listening, we say hello.
Hi.
And, hope that you keep on listening and you become a pilot too someday.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with number 17, Nick. This is from Sam Dawson, and he says, the RAF is looking for Nick. Apparently, through modern technology, the RAF has been able to identify the pilot of this Phantom and is searching for a Nick Anderson in order to collect charges for the replacement cost of trousers, 2 each, pattern number 2, due to soiling. So for those of you listening to the audio and can't see the image, it will be in the show notes, of course, and in the chapter images. But if you can't see any of that, just imagine a vehicle, a military vehicle, with 2 of the military members perching on the hood of it, and one's crouching all the way down, and another kind of slightly crouched down with headsets on, and behind them is a beautiful airplane, a Phantom that is very low to the ground and coming straight at them. And
eye-wateringly low.
Yes.
And they're all staring in the wrong direction.
Yeah, why are they looking that way? That's what I can't figure out.
Well, you get a clue from the words on the side of the truck, RNAS Yeovilton.
Oh,
so they're
Navy
guys from
guys.
the Royal Naval Air Station. So,
I
what
get it
can
now.
you expect from the Navy?
That's awesome. Thank you, Sam, for sending that
brilliant.
in.
Good spot,
And
Sam. Thanks.
Thanks to all of you.
Actually, that picture is part of my my talk that I often give.
Oh, really?
That very picture, yeah.
It's a very famous one then, I guess.
Yeah, that's my sort of interlude. If you give a pee break halfway through the talk. Yeah.
So, did you know at the time when you were flying that somebody was taking your picture doing that low fly test?
Luckily, I was never in the Navy.
Well, I mean, does it have to necessarily be a Navy
I'm
Phantom?
pretty sure that's a Navy F4. Yes.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Back to the walls. Rope on
Okay.
a soap
Well,
on
you
a
know,
rope.
Photoshop can do amazing things to pictures, Liz. You know that, right? So I think that was actually him. Okay, let's wrap it up. Wrap it up time. Let's hit the wrap it up jingle. Oh, I don't have a wrap it up jingle. Anyway, yeah. So let's. You're right, Liz. I need to get going. Let's point you over to our website, airlinepilotguy.com. Lots of stuff there. Information about the crew and the community calendar and merchandise and the library and more details about plane tales and well, a lot more. There you go. Head over to airlinepilotguy.com. And we're also on the social medias. And Captain Nick, you want to tell us all about the social medias?
If you're a Facebook fan, of which I'm not, because yet again they've managed to let someone bust my account. You do a search for Airline Pilot Guy, all one word. And on the Twitters, our handle is at APG Crew. Very similar on the Instas, APG Crew.
All right. Very good. Thank you, sir. And we're also on Slack. And let's see if we can find out if Hillel is here.
I haven't heard from Hillel for ages.
Hillel. Hillel, can you tell us about Slack?
Okay, but I'm dripping wet.
Okay.
What's new?
That's we're used to it. Come over here. Tell us all about Slack.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas, we suggest episode and Plain Tales topics, we plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com, or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel.
I need a towel. I got shampoo in my eyes.
Okay. Be right
But
with
if
you.
it's only shampoo, that's better than normal.
Yes, it is. And thanks again to our crew, our live audience that joins us each and every week and really provides
good team this week, I thought. Very
Pardon
good.
me?
A good team in the
Yes.
chat room this week.
Yes, it is. And also, big thanks to our producer, Liz. Come on in, Liz. There you are.
Hey, everybody.
Liz. Well
Providing
done.
me all kinds
Thanks
of
so
information
much.
Show
behind
you
the
guys.
scenes. Thanks.
Cheers.
Now, let's sign off and then we'll talk titles.
Okay. And I guess the best thing for me to do now is just to say thanks for listening and hope to see you again here next week. Wishing you all clear skies, unlimited visibility, and talons, Douglas.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Ba-doom.
Turn off your recorders. Okay, so Super Fred Driver has welcome to Geriatric Airlines, which
Welcome
is a good
aboard
one.
Geriatric Airlines. Okay.
What else?
Wait a minute. Is he referring to us?
Yeah, I think so.
That's not funny, Super Fred Driver.
How do you spell geriatric?
It's on the screen.
Geriatric. Geriatric.
Geriatric.
Right. And the next?
How many doors are enough? So you can have a plane with like 50 doors, or the moat. You can have
barriers?
a moat happening, or
Okay. That's reference the
secondary
cockpit
the
door.
secondary door.
That's going to be a little hard to.
Yeah, I think so. But
It could be like I
illustrate.
didn't think about this while we were doing the show, but Get Smart, the
the cone of silence.
all the different doors opening
No,
and closing.
the entry
I know
where
what
it
you
goes
mean.
through like 50 doors.
Yeah, no, the 50 doors. I got it. You could have a Concorde doing a wheelie. Now,
Interesting. Yeah. Go
and
on.
what about something about Shakespearean? I don't know how you would do it, but I mean, that Shakespearean thing was just so great. But APG goes Shakespearean, or I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
It's just something to do with Shakespeare, because I just love that so much.
Yeah.
Well, it was a
That's about all I
big
got.
piece of work.
Oh,
Okay.
APG PT, APG.
Chat
APG.
APG.
This one's good. APG PT/PA.
Oh, golly. APG.
PT.
Oh, APGPT.
GPT.
Chat GPT. PA.
Okay.
But I like Chat APG better than.
I like Chat
Well,
APG.
we could put Chat APG.
And Fred's got the title for that
PTPA.
wheelie thing is Supersonic Tail Draggers.
Oh, God. Great,
Great
excellent.
one. Shakespeare in the
That's
Sky.
enough to go with, thanks.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Jordan. I'm glad to see that Jordan's okay. Chat GPT is suggesting Shakespeare in the Sky.
Yeah. I think Nick's got it now. Thanks, everybody.
My personal favorite at the moment is Chat APG PTPA. I mean, that's just funny.
Okay.
You know how you pilots love your acronyms, right? Like
Absolutely, yes.
People
Well, we
look at that and
just
go,
got to
"What
get
the-"
back to church. So thanks everybody for joining us.
I just want to wish everybody out there who have fathers or who are fathers or all the above. Happy Father's Day tomorrow. Enjoy your celebration.
Thanks.
That is for those of who celebrate Father's Day on tomorrow.
And my 44th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right. Yeah. Happy
Excellent.
anniversary. 44 years.
Happy birthday.
That is
I
happy
think it's
anniversary.
44. It's got to be at least that. Feels like
It's a
twice
lot.
that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's almost unheard of. So congrats. To
Bye,
you're very
everybody.
Yeah,
All right,
cheers,
everybody.
folks.
See you
Gotta
next
run.
time.
Bye.